TalkSport Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at just gone 10 a.m, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. We're told Middlesbrough's request to sit in on Southampton's Spygate hearing today has been rejected. Former Brentford CEO Andrew Mills doesn't think they'll be kicked out of the playoffs, but expects a punishment for Saints.
Everybody I've spoken to in and around Middlesbrough feel very, very confident that they absolutely have a cast iron case and they can make that case that this isn't a one-off occasion.
The EFL are warning next Saturday's playoff final with Hull City could still be postponed. TalkSport's Ian Danter says that would probably mean taking the game away from Wembley.
If it was Hull Middlesbrough in the end, then I guess Old Trafford, your gaff, Andy, would be a fairly obvious place.
League 2 playoff semis live on TalkSport tonight. Salford Grimsby's on TalkSport 2. Notts County Chesterfield is on the app. Some breaking news. Bournemouth have confirmed their defender Marco Senesi will leave the club when his contract expires in the summer. Problems continue at Real Madrid. Manager Alvaro Arbeloa has been forced to deny he told Kylian Mbappe he was fourth choice forward. Left out the 11, Mbappe was jeered as he came on against Real Oviedo. Man United youth team manager Darren Fletcher's accused the FA of not properly controlling their own event. He's unhappy about what he calls a Man City parade, with coaches called up to the podium by name following their 2-1 FA Youth Cup win over United. Sir David Beckham has become Britain's first billionaire sportsman. The Sunday Times Rich List values him and Victoria at £1.2 billion. Man United versus Nottingham Forest in the Premier League is live on TalkSport tomorrow lunchtime. And in rugby union, South African-born Bernard Janse van Rensburg is now in line for an immediate England call-up. 5 years after arriving here, the Bristol Bears centre could make the squad for the upcoming Nations Championship.
TalkSport News.
The Prime Minister is unpopular, according to one of his cabinet, and British Gas are in trouble for force-fitting prepayment meters. Sinead has more on that in half an hour.
TalkSport weather with QuickFit. You can't trust the weather right now, but you can always trust Pirelli tyres. In stock now at your local centre. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Dry with sunny spells for most of us. Few showers along the coast, not as heavy as yesterday, and warming up a bit.
Hello, very good morning to you. It is Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto live on TalkSport this morning. The FA Cup winner has joined us instead of Gabby today. So as tickets go on sale for the fantastic event that is usually the Championship playoff final, the EFL has suggested Southampton could still be kicked out of the playoffs and that the date for the final may be delayed if the club are found guilty of breaching regulations. Have you bought your tickets this morning for this piece event, or are you contingency plan should the final be rearranged? Meanwhile, it's FA Cup final weekend and a fourth in 4 years for Manchester City. But can they break the losing streak? Chelsea have also lost their last 3 FA Cup finals. Also today, we're getting into the situation in Scotland. What a massive game it is on Saturday, 12:30. Will we get the status quo or will we get the disruptors lifting the title for the first time since the 1960s? We'll also speak to double winner Paul Parker. Manchester United on the verge of giving Carrick the job full-time. And there's a lot more besides. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto. And we're live on TalkSport. Yes, very good morning to you. There's been spying in the Championship this week. Crook says he's done a little bit of spying of his own, peering through my window to make sure that I've ironed his shirt for tomorrow's cup final. He says I haven't. Scott doesn't need to do any reconnaissance on where his FA Cup winners' medal actually is because he sleeps with it every night. The closest thing Cook and I have ever got to an FA Cup is taking a selfie with it at Wembley, which we will do probably tomorrow. Scott's won the whole thing. And he won't let us forget it, not at least for the next 3 hours. Anyway, congratulations, by the way, to Manchester City for winning the Youth Cup last night. Regan Heskey, the son of Emil Heskey, with the winner last night. Manchester United fans a little bit disappointed, though, that the game was at the Joy Stadium rather than the main stadium, as is usually the tradition for the Youth Cup. Scott Minto is here, so is Alex Crook. And Scott, I learnt this morning that Spygate 2.0, which is dominating the headlines, obviously is something that we have to sort out over the next week or so before the Championship playoff final. But the original Spygate was all down to you.
Well, I won't claim 100% of it, but I will claim the start of it. If you remember, it was Derby versus Leeds, and it sort of came out that on the morning that we were going to do the second leg of the playoff semi-final, there was something in the newspaper, and it was only a tiny paragraph. And I've got to name check him. The producer, Alex Jackson, called me and said, what about tonight? Have you seen this in the paper? I said, yeah. He said, do you think anything in it? I said, I don't, but let me just contact Jody Morris, who obviously was the number 2 with Frank at Derby. Expecting him to come back and say, nah, I don't know anything about it, mate. He went, yeah. And Frank's livid. They got caught. I think he was even wearing a Leeds tracksuit, the guy, as well.
Wow.
And he was absolutely livid, Frank. So I said, look, can I use this? He said, well, look, Frank doesn't want to get involved, but yeah, sure. So
that was it.
I passed it on to the Rottweilers at working with me at Sky Sports, and the rest was history. Marcelo Bielsa was actually, it was me. I was fine. That's what I do. It's not a problem. I think he ended up paying the 200 grand himself. So for him, it wasn't a big thing, but it's not in English, is it? It's not British.
It's a big thing now, 8 days before what's being billed as the richest game in football, and the disciplinary hearing that could change everything hasn't even been scheduled yet, probably for the 19th of May. On or before that date was the statement yesterday. Have Southampton ruined the 40th anniversary of the playoffs, or is this now getting to the stage where it is criminally overblown?
Listen, my opinion on this has probably changed from when we first discussed it last week. I made light of it. I said it was more embarrassing for Southampton than anything else. But as the week has gone on and we found out more information, I think there are serious questions for Southampton to answer. And I can understand why Middlesbrough feel aggrieved. This is now affecting Hull City and their preparations for the final as well. We broke the news yesterday that the final might not actually take place next Saturday as scheduled. It might have to be delayed pending the outcome of this independent commission. If it goes against Southampton, you sense they'll appeal, and that could put the final in jeopardy. Certainly.
They can't go to CAS, though, can they? So there's only a two-step situation here. They can get the verdict, then they can appeal it. Yeah. After that, that's it.
Yeah, and I believe they have 48 hours to respond after the verdict. But with the greatest will in the world, we understand the independent commissioner meeting today. If they don't make a decision today, it's going to drag on to next week. Say we get a decision Monday or Tuesday, so they have 2 days to respond. I think it's doubtful that the playoff final would then go ahead on the Saturday. What I've also been told this morning is that Middlesbrough requested that they could take part in the hearing. That has been denied. Only Southampton and the EFL can attend the hearing. And I'm also told that Middlesbrough have hired Nick DeMarco, the sort of sports super lawyer, Mr. Loophole, if you like, are pushing for the first leg to turn into a 3-0 victory for Middlesbrough. And, of course, that would put them through on aggregate.
Nick DeMarco, the lawyer who tried and successfully got Leicester City out of a tight spot a couple of years ago, and he's been hired by Middlesbrough to attack this situation. If Southampton are found to be in regular breach of the rules, as it is now reported, Middlesbrough said that they've got a whistleblower that testifies to this, allegedly, then a one-off fine probably isn't going to be enough punishment, is it? I mean, £200,000 was the punishment for Marcelo Bielsa. That was before the rules were written for a one-off event. If this is a multiple breach and systematic, Can you understand why people are asking for them to be thrown out?
I think that's the big difference. If it's a one-off, for me, should be fined. You're talking about not just in terms of the money going, and I'm talking tens of millions here if Southampton do go up. But even if they don't, then Middlesbrough should receive lots of money from Southampton. Hull, obviously, if they lose as well in the final.
This is the point now. If it is systematic, it doesn't just affect Middlesbrough, does it? Take Wrexham, for example, who missed out on a playoff place on the last day of the season. They got hammered by Southampton towards the end of the campaign. Had that result have gone differently, they would have been in the top 6.
Yeah.
Do they have a claim as well?
So you're not going to be able to unpick every single result now. That is a
my
fact.
point,
You're not going to be
Sam,
able to do
my
that.
point is, if it's a one-off, then you can't chuck them out for that.
Do you think it's a one-off?
That's the thing.
Do you think it's a one-off, really?
No, but we need to prove it. And if you can't prove it, then you can't chuck them out.
If it isn't a one-off, should Tonderecker be sacked?
I think there's certainly a question. There's certainly a question.
Why?
Because I don't believe that this analyst, who we know is highly regarded by Tonderecker, was acting alone. That was one of the claims that I think Southampton put up initially. I think it's fanciful to suggest that the manager wasn't aware what was going on, that those above him weren't aware what was going on. Also, I think you have to look at the culture. You mentioned it, Marcelo Bielsa. Maybe it's normal in other countries. I'm told actually in Germany there aren't laws against it, and it happens quite regularly. Obviously, Tonderecker began his coaching career there. Johannes Spors, the sporting director, began his career there. So there could be an element of that as well.
Is that a defence?
Probably not.
Not in England. If the rule is there, the law is there. You have to blame the EFL for this as well, though. The law's in place, but not the penalty. How can you have a law in place and then say, look, right, you do this, you get that? And that's not the case. And now we're still talking about a possible nothing to a possible being kicked out.
You think that when they put the rules in about the 72-hour training session ban, you can't view one in any way, shape or form prior to a match, they should have had a automatic penalty that if you do it, like they do with administration, for example, that if you do this, bang, 3 points.
100%. And why 72 hours? Is it okay for 73 hours before then? You can spy, before then.
I think the idea is that in the 72 hours, 3 days, in that period, that's when you're doing your specific work for that.
Sam, the days of the five-a-sides, the keep ball, possession of Monday to Thursday, and then you do 11v11 on a Friday, when I was playing, long gone. These almost on a Monday and Tuesday before a Saturday game, you're preparing for the team that you're about to play against. So for me, the law is in place, but the penalty is...
03717223344 is the number to call. The Southampton have started to sell tickets this morning after initially pulling them back. So have Hull City.
Yeah.
Can we read anything into that about their confidence about getting this game on in a week's time, or is it now just hope?
I think it's probably more in hope. You look at the EFL statement yesterday, and they basically said all options are on the table, and they made a point of referencing the fact the final may not be able to take place as scheduled on that Saturday afternoon. So, yeah, I haven't been told that Southampton are confident one way or the other. I'm told that Steve Gibson feels that Middlesbrough have a really strong case. And the other point, and Scott referenced it there, when it came to Bielsa, he held his hands up straight away.
Yeah.
Tonderecker couldn't look more guilty if he tried in his press conferences.
Well, he doesn't really stick around for the press conferences because as soon as he's asked a difficult question, he gets up and walks out. I mean, the fact that the press officer turned around and head to the journalist, show some respect after what they've been accused of, seemed to be a little bit ironic to me.
I think they should have owned it and said, you know what, yeah, we did it. We'll comply with the investigation and we'll accept any punishment that comes our way. Instead, what they've done now is they've got this analyst who presumably was acting under orders plastered all over the back pages of the newspapers. I don't think it's fair on him.
I don't think Southampton and Leeds as a club are acting any different. It's just that when you've got Marcelo Bielsa, he does what he wants.
And is that a little bit of an experience from Tonderecker, do you think?
What, about not just saying...
I'm not coming out and just saying, look, this is what we've done.
I'm not necessarily experienced, but I definitely think it's about character. Marcelo Bielsa was like, yeah, I did it. I was happy to it. I was told all afternoon Marcelo Bielsa was happy to come out. He'd phoned Frank. He'd said, that's what we do. I apologise if you're not meant to do it. The laws weren't in place at that particular time. It was just a very un-British thing to do. And he owned it. And it was actually Leeds' backroom, and the hierarchy who didn't want him to come out. And in the end, he said, no, I'm going to do it. And he did it. And we've got here now Tonderecker, who I'm sorry, he's guilty. We know he's guilty. He's going to come out, he's guilty. The question for me now is this a one-off? If it's a one-off, I think it'd be harsh to kick them out. If it's been going on and can be proven, how do you prove that? But if you can, then...
Well, if you've got a whistleblower, as Middlesbrough claim to have, from Southampton, who's prepared to say on the record that they have participated in this throughout the course of the season, then there is your...
Then they have to be kicked out.
03717 223344. Southampton ruined the 40th anniversary of the playoffs. Have they got no option but to sack Tonda Ecker, being he the leader of the organisation? Or is it now getting to the stage where it's just a little bit overblown? 03717 223344. I also want to hear from Southampton and Hull fans this morning who have bought their tickets on the website, getting ready to go to what could be one of the greatest days in either club's history. How are you preparing for that? And what are you thinking? Have you made contingency plans? Should the final be rearranged? Because, well, we're all working on this game next Saturday. None of us have really thought about what would happen if the game was cancelled, apart from Crook.
Oh, my God, a good one.
Who's decided he's going to go racing. 03717 223344. It's Friday morning. It's TalkSport. We're taking your calls on Spygate 2.0 with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go.
As we alluded to yesterday, Southampton are likely to face a sporting sanction if they're found guilty of spying charges. As a result, they could end up being thrown out of the playoff final to be replaced in that final by Middlesbrough instead, the team that they put out last night at the semi-final second leg stage. We said we'd look into this more thoroughly from a financial, legal expert point of view, and the very man who fits that bill is sitting to my right. Stefan Borson joins us live in studio. And Stefan, good morning to you.
Hi.
We'll get into how this may or may not play out in the courts. Is there a precedent, Stefan, for chucking a team out of the playoffs?
Well, it happened to Swindon, but it was different. Well, not in terms of the playoffs, but in terms of sort of annulling the promotion. But it was a different situation. I mean, there's no situation where you've had it all come to a head within this small window around the playoffs. In terms of spying / espionage, there's really very few cases anywhere in football in respect of this. So you've got the Leeds situation that we know about, where it was systematic. They ended up with a £200,000 fine. And effectively, the other part of the sanction was to vote in favour of the rule that then came in. This rule that we're now talking about in terms of the 72-hour rule. That was part of the agreement on that. So that brought the rule in. The only other case is actually from the from the Olympics with Canada's women's team, and FIFA in 2024 docked them 6 points.
listening to you this morning. Not sure that seeing training makes much more of a difference than just a tiny one, which is why Bielsa did that press conference and how much analysis is done other than that. Just covering all bases, minimal effect, just unedifying and embarrassing. Overblown, says one texter. Hi, gents. Mark the Villa fan here. On Spygate 2.0, think of the poor fans' travel. Rail fares are, for some reason, non-refundable, so fans buy their tickets now and the game is cancelled. They lose that money. If they leave it to the last minute, the fares will be extortionate. If found guilty, Southampton should also pay a levy, not the full amount, for all the fans that are travelling to the game. Morning, lads. Just give them a 15-point deduction when they next start in the Championship and a very heavy fine, says Peter. Keep up. Keep the blue flag flying high, he says. That's Chelsea fan. Embarrassed Saints fan here. Let's forget the hysteria and look at the facts. Whatever a guy with a mobile phone saw had zero impact on the game. Borough slaughtered us in the first half of the first game. The rest really was quite even between two good teams. Martin says, surely with the money on offer for going up, a fine would be absolutely pointless. So it will kicking them out will outweigh any fine. They should be kicked out, but won't be. The EFL will fine them heavy, maybe a couple of million, then sanction a third match at a neutral ground, televised without any supporters present. They have already warned fans that the playoff final may be delayed, so this is the most likely outcome, according to Darren in Coventry. Just a quick question on that. Let's just clarify about who is punishing who here, because the EFL set the rules, but it is an independent commission that will decide on the punishment, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so I assume the EFL can make their recommendations, they can present their evidence, but ultimately it will be an independent commission, and depending on the outcome of that verdict, Southampton can then appeal to another commission. But as you say, not to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, as we understand it.
Andrew is a Southampton fan. Hello, mate.
Yeah, good morning. I just wanted to fact-check you with a couple of things. The gentleman who did the spying, Will Salt, if you go on to Derby University, you see that he's a third-year undergraduate, and it does state that he no longer is with Southampton, but he's actually with Aston Villa. Again,
well, he was at the training ground on Wednesday, so I find that unlikely.
Would he have then been there for himself? Would he be doing a project?
You're trying to blame it all on this one guy, are you? One rogue
would he
employee.
Be acting for Southampton?
Well, if that's the case,
know that, you don't know that.
If that's the case, Andrew, if that's the case, why has they been charged by the EFL, and why have Southampton not said that?
Yeah, but should this not be a trial by the EFL? Trial by the independent tribunal that's been brought out, and not by a trial by media.
If he wasn't working for Southampton, why would they be charged?
But doesn't it seem strange to you that he's there in such an obvious costume, that he's wearing his blue jeans, which are very visible, that he's got his iPhone, he's got his that he wouldn't be doing it in a more professional way?
Well, that's
also,
the question, isn't it?
This is a golf course. How many, if we'd have zoomed out, how many other golfers are going past there and actually having a little video of the training because it's open to everybody?
So let me get this right. This whole situation, and listen, you may well be right here, Andrew. You think this whole situation...
I don't know.
Hold on. You think this whole situation is a student with a mobile phone who happened to be playing golf on the day that Middlesbrough were training ahead of a playoff semi-final against a team that he had a relationship with but doesn't any longer because he's now at Aston Villa, even though he was at the training ground next week.
Analyst, and I will also question whether Tonda Eckhart even knows that this is happening.
So why haven't they said that?
Let's not forget about how Southampton is structured. Southampton, Tonda is the head coach. He's not head of analysis. That's another department. I would imagine the owner, the CEO, Tonda Eckhart are oblivious as to what's happening. It's too fast, too quick. Tonda wants that information. The analysts get that information for him. It may be that a sector has gone out there, but it also maybe not. I don't know. You don't know. You're speculating. You're creating a trial by media.
Not at all. We're not speculating. We've spoken to people. We've done research. We've got inside sources that have given us information about it. You know for a fact, because you said it on this programme, that Simon Jordan has been speaking to people who run some of these clubs. We've had Dragan Sholak who's come out with a statement from Southampton. It's not speculation that there was an incident. It's a fact that there was an incident. The question is what happens next?
Andrew, I hope for Southampton's sake that they're going to come up with a better defence than you. Otherwise, they've got no chance.
I think Middlesbrough should be brought in to bring the game into disrepute for not allowing the EFL to carry out what they need to do, but actually leaking into the media to create this media frenzy. I think it's brought the game into total disrepute.
Okay, well, good luck. Thank you very much, Andrew. Appreciate that call. 0371 722 3344. Southampton broke the rules, says Roger Setchell, and will be punished, but Middlesbrough fans should not expect a free pass to the final. You lost. Sad, but true, says Roger. Thousands of Hull City supporters have already booked hotels, rail travel, etc. Much of it non-refundable. So to stand to lose an awful lot of money if the match gets moved. As ever, the innocent parties in football ultimately pay the price. The show must go on, says Steve in East Yorkshire. Southampton are only selling tickets now to try and put pressure on the EFL, almost saying, oh, but the fans are excited now. You can't let them down. What about the Borough fans going in hopeful, not knowing Southampton cheated? Those fans were let down. Southampton cheated, end of. They are not deserved finalists and they should be kicked out of the playoffs, but also they should be kicked out of the Championship. Wow. Disgusting behaviour. The rules are there to be followed, not ignored, said one texter.
Look, I mean, Andrew, you can see he's clearly a passionate Southampton fan, and we should wait and see. And the independent commission will find out. So he will get what he wants. But the bottom line is Tonde Eckert has not denied it. Southampton have not denied it. And from all the information that we've got is it leading towards, and I would bet £1 to $1 that absolutely is going to be found guilty here. So the question is, for me, is it a single one or is it a multiple one?
And what should the consequences be, Scott? Because, the question is if we've got to expedite this. It has to happen quickly. This game has to take place next Saturday. As far as I'm concerned, it should be taking place next Saturday, no matter what.
I agree with you. I don't see how it can, though, Sam. Unless a verdict can come out today, then somehow over the weekend the appeal is sorted as well. You mentioned just beforehand, before we came on air, these teams deserve a full week.
They do.
To work on tactics.
Absolutely.
You have Tuesday, Wednesday, and suddenly, this is the final in 2 days' time.
Totally agree.
This is the single richest game in world football. The biggest game. Worth over £200 million.
As always, it's the fans who suffer, isn't it? Whatever happens here, if Southampton do get kicked out, it's their supporters who will feel it the most. Obviously, the club will feel it financially as well. But, I mean, Andrew's defence there was fanciful in the extreme.
03717 2233 That's the number to call. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, and 1997 FA Cup winner Scott Minto. And by the way, there is a picture doing the rounds we will bring you between now and 1 o'clock of Scott with the FA Cup in the bath after that event. Stick with us. You might well see it if you want to. This is TalkSport.
You've got Madonna, Shakira and BTS are going to headline the halftime show at this summer's World Cup final on July the 19th. The halftime show during last summer's Club World Cup in the United States between Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain lasted more than 24 minutes. This is going to be the first time that there has been a halftime show at a World Cup final. I've got a terrible feeling that you're going to tell me you have no problem with this.
No, I haven't got an issue with it.
Oh, God.
But then I'm used to... Listen, I love American sports. People know that. I love American sports. I love the Super Bowl halftime show. Of course, it's not going to be for everyone, and I get that. I've got no issue with that at all. But what they're going to have to do is make sure that they've got plenty of bikes in the dressing rooms, the warm-up areas to keep the legs moving, because I've been the halftime, 24 minutes. That is long, especially when the intensity of the game. Then you go in and you cool down a little bit, and then you talk about 24 minutes, 25 minutes before you get yourself back out there. They have to keep warming.
Aaron, you know when you say that you love American sports and you therefore don't mind the intrusion of a halftime show, I kind of get it. I went to a Super Bowl. Snoop Dogg was there.
That was unbelievable. That one.
Yeah, and that was great because it was a Super Bowl. But I wouldn't necessarily want that at an FA Cup final. I think when you buy into the American experience, you get the American experience. Why are we getting the American experience in a game that doesn't necessarily need one?
Probably because it's in America. I think if it was elsewhere, it probably wouldn't be. That wouldn't be the case because it's in America.
Although we started to get it in Champions League finals, haven't we? We've had Dua Lipa at a Champions League final.
Yeah, you know, I get it. It's not for everyone, and I've got no argument. If people come on here and say, "Nah, it's rubbish. I hate it." Then listen. You're going to get no argument from me. I just quite like it. But then also as well, it depends on the act. Like, listen, Shakira. I know a couple of her songs. Madonna. I'm not a fan of Madonna. I know she's a legend, but that's not my cup of tea.
It's reported Southampton's Spygate hearing could take place today. Our EFL expert Adrian Clark reckons Tonda Eckert's side should be kicked out of the playoffs.
I think EFL have got to stamp out, you know, this spying. It's against the rules. A financial punishment isn't enough. I think there has to be a sporting sanction.
An independent panel will go over the evidence. The EFL warn next Saturday's playoff final with Hull City might be postponed. Now, Bruno Fernandes is sad Declan Rice chose Arsenal over Man United. He says Rice would have fitted in perfectly at Old Trafford. Meanwhile, former Arsenal midfielder Jack Wilshere's told us Martin Odegaard is the key if Arsenal are going to win this Champions League final.
You know, you see when he comes on the pitch the other day and he just brings a little bit of control in midfield. I think they have to try and find some control. PSG is a different type of team. Like, they just want to attack. They don't necessarily want to control the game with possession anymore. They just want to get it in forward areas.
Arsenal could take a huge step towards winning the Premier League by beating Burnley live on TalkSport on Monday. And Sir David Beckham is Britain's first billionaire sportsman. He and Victoria are worth 1.2 billion quid. That's according to the new Sunday Times rich list. But Man United co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe's fortune is down 2 billion. He's worth 15.2 billion pounds. Man United versus Nottingham Forest in the Premier League is live on TalkSport Sunday lunchtime.
TalkSport, it's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, and 1997 FA Cup winner Scott Minto, Champions League record holder for over 20 years.
10 years, over 10.
10. Did you clock it?
No, I was told.
Oh, right, okay. All right. If you don't know what the Champions League record is, give yourself a little treat later on and Google it.
You're a bad kid, you.
This is TalkSport. Right, okay. I've had loads of messages. We've had loads of messages, but here's a couple of questions for you. Can the EFL appeal the commission decision if it's not satisfied by it? Because there is history that show that cases of sports bodies appealing independent commission decisions are possible.
Yeah, I guess it's possible if they feel that the punishment doesn't fit the crime. But whether they would do that, I'm not sure, because, again, it just possibly delays their own showpiece event, doesn't it? This is the biggest game the EFL have, I would argue, all season.
Okay, regardless of whether the head coach or the sporting director knew or didn't know about the spying, this is what the suggestion was from our previous caller. If he was acting alone, what does it say about the culture and the management at the training ground? If it was Middlesbrough, would Steve Gibson have already sacked them by now?
Listen, I'm pretty confident he wasn't acting alone from the information that I've gathered by speaking to various people around the club. I've had a message here actually from Justin, a Southampton fan. He says most supporters feel that if Tonda is guilty of being part of this, then he needs to go even before the game, which is quite an interesting viewpoint from a Southampton
Can't go before the game. I mean, if they do get through to the final, he's got to see it out. I mean, what's best for Southampton Football Club? And that's not sacking Tonda Eka right now.
I suppose the question is, a lot of people are saying, and Gordon, who's just about to come on now, says, just because we've been charged doesn't mean we're guilty. Well, if one man is recording and transmitting the training, it must be being shared with someone. Otherwise, what is he doing? Gordon, you got an answer for that?
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, first of all, you said he has all the specialised listening devices. Now it's just a man in jeans. And secondly, Tonga Eka...
Who said he had specialist listening devices?
We never said that.
The media have. The media have.
Okay, then we're not all one homogenous group like Southampton fans aren't all one voice. Go on.
No, but hang on. Also, Tonga always looks like that in every interview for a start. So what his face looks like that's just Tonga.
I wasn't talking about his face. I was talking about his behaviour. When I said that he couldn't look more guilty, I wasn't talking about his facial expression.
Yes, but that's what he looks like all the time in every interview. So if you watch, he looks like that all the time. And secondly, the media are hounding him as well in every interview. When Pep Guardiola gives an interview, there's 112 charges or more against Man City. Are you talking about Man City and their charges every day? And is Pep being hounded about that at every press conference?
No, but have we done? Hold on a second. Do you not think that we have not covered that? We have asked Richard Masters every single time we've had him in a room to talk to us about the time frame for those charges, and he has refused to answer it. We have talked to Pep Guardiola about it. He has refused to answer it, and he has given his answer on that, by the way, in which he has said if they are found guilty, he will resign. We have our answers on that. We do not have our answers on Southampton.
There's also a fair amount of whataboutery here, isn't there? What has Manchester City's situation really got to do with Southampton spying on opponents?
Well, because if they've been charged, they're guilty. Because you've just said Southampton's been charged, so therefore they're guilty.
No, we haven't. We haven't said they're guilty. I think they will. I think they will accept guilt. I think they will accept guilt because they will hope that the punishment will be lighter if they fully cooperate. But we haven't said they're guilty.
Basically, you have. Come on, guys. You've just literally almost said by us being charged, they're guilty.
Well, the picture is quite damning, isn't it? There is a member of Southampton's backroom team stood. No. Recording a training session. That's fairly evident.
The other thing is if they weren't guilty of it or didn't expect to have to defend being charged by the EFL, why did they not deny it?
Because Southampton always go about their business quietly. We always have done. I'm guilty. I mean, we probably more than likely are guilty. But the other thing is, why are these other clubs going to Middlesbrough instead of going to the EFL? If we're guilty of doing it to other clubs, those other clubs surely have got a duty to go to...
we don't know they haven't done that, do we?
Well, we don't know. Exactly, there's lots of things that we do and we don't know, and the media are making this, blowing this all out of proportion. I think a big fine and a points deduction is what is needed. I don't think cancel it.
03717 223344 is the number to call if you want to get in touch with us about Southampton and Spygate 2.0. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, and Scott Minto is with us today. It's tough on any fans who have made arrangements. That doesn't mean, though, that it should go ahead. What is more important is whether Southampton cheated. If they did, then they need to be punished. They shouldn't have the opportunity to be in the Premier League, says Jodie Bingham. Gillian says, I'm a lifelong Borough fan. What upsets me most is the attitude of Saints fans who are complete denial of the facts and want to throw this young lad under the bus. Don't forget the attitude of their fans at the match with binoculars and camouflage clothes and doing the binoculars gesture to Aidan Morris at the end. All that alone should result in sanction. Jill, currently in Lake Garda. Thank you very much.
Do you know what?
For in this morning.
I think listening to Andrew and Gordon, I agree. Take some accountability for this. Don't come on and try and defend the indefensible.
03717 223344. Jacob is a Hull City fan. Jacob, have you bought your ticket this morning to the playoff final that might not be on the date that you bought the ticket for?
I have indeed, actually, yes. I've actually got 5. Got my travel arrangements sorted. I mean, I'm luckily enough going to be driving down and coming back on the same day. However, I know hundreds of fans that have already bought hotels, trains. Obviously, we didn't get the confirmed kick-off time till, obviously, yesterday. Again, whole trains are putting on a football special train for us, for the Hull City fans, which, you know, that might have to be changed due to the time. But like I say, the main point is, you know, whoever we play, I think we, as Hull City fans, we are kind of a victim here as well. You know, I remember last time we got promoted 10 years ago, you know, we was ecstatic, looking forward to the final. And now, to be fair, past few days have just been miserable, really. Like, we've been looking at Twitter and everything and just wondering, are we going to play? Are we not? Are we going to play? I just think it's ridiculous, really.
What happens if the final isn't next Saturday?
Well, I think, like I say, I bought my tickets. I'm assuming we'll get a refund. But then, if it gets moved to a midweek, I've heard that might happen. If it gets moved to a different venue, I know fans that are coming over from Australia, from New Zealand. You know, it's just a farce, really.
That is also key, isn't it? I mean, Jacob, thank you very much for your call. Appreciate that. 03717223334. That is also true. You know, when your team, doesn't matter, it's only going to be a handful of people, but there are clubs who are supported by people that are living in far-flung places, that the moment that this kind of thing happens, the first thing they do is book their tickets back to the UK and go, right, this is going to be the greatest day of my life. Now, that could all get altered with the swish of someone's pen.
I've got a friend who lives in Cape Town now. He's a big Palace fan, and he comes back sometimes for the when Palace get to big games. He'll be there at the final as well in the Conference League. And yeah, absolutely. There's so many people out here that are going to be affected. I think that's a really good call because, you know, we mustn't forget about Hull and their supporters and what's happening. If it's put back, the players, the management team, the fans, will they be able to go? Who are you coming up against? This needs to be sorted ASAP. I'm not quite sure how it's going to be again, the difference for me is whether it's a singular thing or a multiple thing. I'm not quite sure how you can prove it and sort out all the appeal process with that. So it's just an absolute mess. And I'll just go back to what the EFL have done. There wasn't anything in place when Bielsa did what he did. They put a law in without giving a penalty. And now anything can happen.
And the problem is it's happened at the worst possible time of the season because it is now only 1 week and 1 day before this scheduled playoff final. Hull City, as I understand it, I think we understand it, they're preparing to play against Southampton next Saturday at 4:30. If it happens, it'll be live on TalkSport and we'll be there for that. However, if this procedure, this disciplinary process goes on for much longer, the EFL will have no option but to change it, because tactically you can't expect Hull to keep going on preparing for a game which might not be against the opponent that they're currently preparing for.
No, I think Hull are the innocent victims in all this. Middlesbrough would say they are as well. So, yeah, I think it's almost farcical, really, that Hull are preparing for a game that may or may not take place. And in terms of Middlesbrough, my understanding is that their players were back at the training ground yesterday for a team meeting. They're going to start training today in preparation for a playoff final. And what we know about Steve Gibson is he won't let this go, will he?
He could be on holiday now as well, couldn't they? And yet we're told in a couple of days, no, you've got to go. You're not going to be in the final.
Everyone's got plans as well. There will be people who are going to the World Cup, national team players that have got to join up with their international colleagues.
Yeah. Look, I don't mind the fact that Southampton fans are ringing up, and you can see they're kind of very one-eyed about it. That's what football's about. That's what makes it the most popular sport in the world. You know, fans can be blind to it, or at least defensive. But the bottom line is we are going to find out at some point from an independent commission whether he's guilty or not. And I'm really sad about that, actually, because I think Tonda Eckert has been brilliant. The caller was right. I watch a lot of press conferences, how he is, both pre and post. You have no idea if they're in a good form or bad form, no idea if they won or lost. He's very sort of poker-faced in that way. So, yes, he does talk that way. But I'm sorry, if he's been found out on multiple occasions, Southampton should not be allowed to get into the Premier League. And a points deduction, however many you do, so if Southampton go up, they might not be in the EFL for another 15 years. We don't know.
And I don't see a scenario whereby if they do get promoted and the EFL impose a point sanction, that necessarily will be imposed in the Premier League. I think it would be when they are back in the Championship. How much does it tarnish this incredible run that they were on just to get into a playoff place, and of course into an FA Cup semi-final as well, a semi-final in which they took the lead against Manchester City, having knocked out Arsenal in the previous round. I wonder if Mikel Arteta is potentially scouring CCTV footage of their training ground.
Do you want to get in the final?
Isn't it a good job that tomorrow it's Manchester City that are playing Chelsea and not Southampton? Because if it had been, can you imagine the conversations we'd be having about that as well?
Do you know what? I mean, again, Southampton fans in a way would be right to say, well, look at that first half of the first leg where they were absolutely shocking. So any spying certainly didn't work, but that's not the point.
03717 223344. We've got loads of callers. We're going to wrap those up. We're going to rattle through some straight after the break. So stick with us for that. I think the best punishment, says Lee, would be for Southampton if they win. They must pay Middlesbrough 50% of their earnings next year, as a points deduction doesn't help anybody. I think if they lose, it's a financial and a points deduction. That's Lee
Hull
from
as well,
Spain. 03717 2233 44. Sam and Alex and Scott. If Southampton are found guilty, then Hull should be promoted without playing the final. Job done, says Justin in Malvern. And Mitchell says, Alex Crook makes it sound worse than it is. Borough have had a bigger meal and made a bigger meal of this than it needed to be. They failed to beat us when they battered us at the Riverside. I don't think spying for 10 minutes determines the outcome of this.
So now it's Alex Crook's fault. Okay.
037.
Very good.
It is most of the time.
333 Well, it is Alex Crook's world, and we're just living.
Exactly. We're thankful to be in it.
It's Sam Matterface alongside Alex Crook and Scott Minto. We're here through till 1 o'clock with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
Another developing story this morning coming out of Manchester United. Manchester United have reportedly reached out to other potential candidates, but wish to speak to Michael Carrick first. What do you read into that? Is the significant fact of that Carrick gets first dibs in speaking to those who will make the ultimate decision?
Well,
in other words, he's leading the way.
I find it strange how these things come out. Like, who is it leaking the fact that United have spoken or speaking to other candidates before they speak to Michael? I mean, it's bizarre, especially when you're talking about one of the biggest clubs in the world. Can they not do business? Can they not keep their own counsel? I find that a bit bizarre, but he's done really well. And, with the position they were in to where he's got them, you could argue he deserves another go at it and bring some players in the summer. And I wouldn't say that's a huge risk. The progression they've made under him, I'd give him another go.
Yeah. Significant, Simon, that they want to speak to Carrick first?
Yeah, again, I don't know who's briefing in and whether it's coming from Carrick's side or whether it's coming from Man United's side as to the briefing in as to why Man United need. You can employ an England manager without anyone knowing about it, but they can't seemingly have a conversation amongst themselves without broadcasting it to the media. I don't understand why that is the case. I still think it's fraught with lots of questions that need to be asked and answered about the position of someone that becomes in moments of adversity. We've seen no moments of adversity for Carrick, really. He's done the job, so it makes it a conundrum.
It is TalkSport. It's Sam Matterface alongside Alex Crook. As always on a Friday, Fun Boy Friday, we have a bit of fun. But it is quite a serious discussion today because it's the richest game in football. It's the 40th anniversary of the playoffs. And yet it looks as if, from the outside looking in, and we know we've got to be careful what we look at nowadays, that the game has been brought into disrepute. Scott Minto, the FA Cup winner from 1997, is with us because we're going to look at the FA Cup final very shortly. And we want your calls as well. 03717223344. We're going to rattle into them after we've heard from TalkSport's Alex Crook.
Well, I'm just wondering. I think the two Southampton callers you have are a little bit delusional. However, the point about Middlesbrough, making this a trial by media, the fact that that picture has clearly been leaked by Borough, could that work against them, do you think, when it comes to this independent commission?
I think it's not their fault that someone decided to video training, and by getting it out quickly means that there's more of an expedited process.
Yeah.
If they'd waited till after the championship final had been played, we'd be in a world of pain, wouldn't we?
What are you trying to say, Quickie?
No, I just wonder if it might harm their cause, the fact that, this guy, Will Salt, is plastered on all the back.
Are you having a go at them for being snitches?
I just wonder if they should have taken that evidence to the EFL rather than put it in the public domain. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
But they're not allowed in the commission, are they?
No. And they're not allowed to appeal the decision, crucially, either. So if there is any appeal, it would come either from Southampton or, as you've alluded to, from the EFL themselves.
Yeah, 03717223344. Right, OK, we're going to give loads of callers as much time as we can, but we're going to be really quick because we've only got 6 minutes before the news. So, Ian, in Southampton, you get your chance to say your piece first. Go for it.
First of all, good morning, gentlemen. I hope you're all well.
Good morning.
So one of my points really is, where exactly is it written down that if someone is accused of something, that they have to come out and say they're innocent, otherwise they get accused of being guilty? Where does it say they have to do that?
No, it doesn't say they have to do that, but it's a surprise that they haven't.
So just because they haven't, you're sat there accusing them, all of a sudden accusing them of being guilty.
Why wouldn't you, Ian? Why wouldn't you come out if you are not guilty?
Because you don't have to.
You don't have to, but everyone's going against Southampton and Tonda Eka at the moment. So why wouldn't you?
Have to do that?
Well, wouldn't it stop this discussion? Wouldn't it stop this discussion, Ian? Wouldn't it stop this discussion if they come around? If Tonda Eka came and sat in here this morning and answered the question when he was asked that question in the press conference the other night, "Are you a cheat?" If he said no, I'm not a cheat, wouldn't that have gone in his favour, in Southampton's favour?
Not really, because there would still be people accusing him of being a cheat, whether he says he isn't or not.
Ian, you're our third Southampton caller. I think you've all taken the same delusional pills. You've seen the evidence. Do you think they're innocent?
You're the one that looked up and said that you haven't accused Southampton of being guilty. Yet 10 minutes ago, you looked up and said that you've spoken to your close sources, and therefore what they told you, you think they're guilty. So, Crookie, you did say that Southampton were guilty.
Okay, I do think they're guilty. And if you think they're not, you're deluded.
Before you shut me off,
I think they're guilty.
Before you shut me off, the outrage on this is a disgrace. Can you just enlighten me? What day was it that he was pictured at the training ground?
I've not got that information in front of me, but go on, carry on.
Well, I'm just, how we're preparing for Southampton, prepared to play Southampton, and they're spending a whole week doing it. Now, if this was a day before, Southampton would have flown up on Friday or driven up on Friday, however they got up there, so there would have been one training session. What exactly would this have done?
It doesn't matter. The rule is you can't get involved in opposition training 72 hours before a game.
Right. You're right. Okay, I agree. But there is also a rule where you're not allowed to cheat on the field of play. So somebody going down, wasting time at the end of a game, somebody pulling a shirt.
Again, it's a little bit of whataboutery, isn't it? The fact is that's not the main subject of the day. Is it? The order of the day is whether or not they sent someone to training. We've got to get on to the next calls. Ben, Southampton, you've got a different take. Go for it.
Yeah, hi. Hope you're well, lads. I do think the last few Southampton fans are absolutely delusional. We've been caught, or suspected, someone's been caught there red-handed, right? What I do think, though, should play into it, and you may disagree, but I really think it depends on how long he's been there for. I mean, if he was there for 2 minutes, it's not going to have a massive impact. If he was there for an hour, yeah, fair enough, throw us out, because we are guilty. But I do think that needs to play into the part of
Ben, thank you for bringing some sanity to these calls.
Ben, I appreciate you calling. 03717223344. Carl is a Middlesbrough fan. Go for it, Carl.
Hi guys, thanks for having us on. Just quickly, just in response to one of the Southampton messages earlier on, Borough aren't looking for like an easy bye to the final here. Like we all fully accept that over those two games, Southampton were the better side. However, I think this is just down to timing, because if this had happened to any other club in September, October or Feb or whatever, they will have brought that evidence to the EFL, and thus the EFL have then charged Southampton. I think a lot of it is just timing with it, which of course is unfortunate. But to be clear, no Borough fan that I know is wanting a quick bite at the final. We accept we weren't good enough over two games.
But if Middlesbrough, as has been reported this morning by TalkSport's chief football correspondent Alex Crook, ask for and want the situation where the first game is null and voided and they're given a 3-0 walkover, that would mean that they won on aggregate and therefore get a place in the final. You'd take it, though, wouldn't you?
I mean, of course you'd take it, but even I've got to say, I think that would be ridiculous, because Southampton could argue, well, we didn't know that before we played the second game, and thus you start changing your tactics accordingly.
OK, cheers, Carl. Thank you very much. Scott Minto?
No, I was just going to say to the previous caller, I mean, there's 200 million reasons why that might happen. To know whether Hayden Hackney, the Championship Player of the Year, is fit or not. To know whether they're going with a 3 or back 4, to know that Malanda will push into Finn Azaz, to know the triggers of the press, to know the patterns of play with the ball, set pieces, and perhaps even more crucially, but it didn't come down to it, penalties.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the allegations was that they did spy on a training session that included penalties. So I think the biggest fear for the EFL was that match might be decided in a shootout.
OK, 03717223344. The calls and the text messages have been flooding into TalkSport today. Stick with us as we continue our discussion. There is one final that is happening, and it's happening this weekend, and we know that it definitely is going to kick off on time. Pep, the Blues, and a Wembley date with history. We'll do that after this.
James Corden is with us in the studio.
Good morning.
Good morning, mate. Good morning, James.
So happy to be here.
It's our pleasure. How are you?
I'm really well. Yeah, I'm very good.
Thank you for coming in.
It's a pleasure.
It's lovely. We've got so much to talk to you about.
For sure.
Before we talk about football, right?
Yes.
I was just going over old stuff that you've done, right? And I was watching with my producer Ollie this morning when you did the Sports Personality of the Year. I think it was 09, 07, I can't remember. It was nearly 20 years ago. And you stood up in front of everyone, right?
Yes.
You gave, as Smithy, you gave this massive speech.
Smithy won Coach of the Year.
And I said to the producer, he's got a good memory, right? How nerve-wracking must that have been for you? Was that just insane? Did you have autocue on that? Or was that...
Well, no, there was a prompter, but the issue was with that is we shot that 8 minutes before they went live for Sports Personality, so we only had one. We could only do it once.
Yeah.
From the standing up in the crowd, the walking through, doing all the stuff. So also, we had to make sure that lots of people were in the audience, because as Sports Personality, they all wait in this room before they go out, and we had to go up to like Freddie Flintoff, and what we had to say to him, we had to go, Freddie, we're going to do this thing. Don't laugh along,
okay?
Because it can't look like it's like a sort of roast monologue.
Yeah,
which is why Freddie's such a brilliant actor. Looks so angry in that we just like make out like it's real. Don't just laugh along when we start saying all these things to different people. And the only instruction I was given was you can't interact with Capello. because they were like, you're not allowed to interact with Capello.
TalkSport Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 11:02, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. We understand Middlesbrough have been refused access to Southampton's Spygate hearing today. Only Saints and the independent panel will be there. TalkSport's chief football correspondent is Alex Crook.
I'm also told that Middlesbrough have hired Nick DeMarco, the sort of sports super lawyer, Mr. Loophole, if you like, are pushing for the first leg to turn into a 3-0 victory for Middlesbrough, and of course that would put them through on aggregate.
Now, the only championship precedent here is Marcelo Bielsa admitting to spying back in 2019. Saints have stayed tight-lipped for now. TalkSport's Scott Minto has questioned the manager Tonda Eckert's character.
I'm sorry, he's guilty. We know he's guilty. He's going to come out, he's guilty. The question for me now is this a one-off? If it's a one-off, I think it'd be harsh to kick them out.
We've just been told by the EFL any Southampton appeal cannot go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, so would be heard in this country by another independent panel. Contingency plans remain in place in case that playoff final needs to be postponed. Everton are paying tribute to one of the club's greatest servants. Seamus Coleman is leaving the club next month after 433 appearances. Seamus Coleman still deciding whether he'll stay on as a coach or play elsewhere. Bournemouth defender Marco Senesi's confirmed he's leaving this summer. We understand Senesi turned down 4 offers of a new contract at the Vitality. Brentford have completed the signing of 19-year-old Austrian defender Yannick Schuster. That's from RB Salzburg. Now we're told Arsenal are interested in West Ham midfielder Mateus Fernandes. The Portuguese is expected to leave even if West Ham stay up. It's reported Man United and PSG are also interested in Fernandes. And with West Ham at Newcastle on Sunday, Richarlison's confirmed Spurs players have the weekend off to watch their relegation rivals. TalkSport's Premier League coverage continues on Sunday lunchtime with Man United versus Nottingham Forest.
TalkSport News.
British Gas have to cough up £20 million for force-fitting prepayment meters. And after years of speculation, we're one step closer to a new James Bond. Sinead has more in half an hour.
TalkSport weather with QuickFit. Spring forwards with Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Dry with sunny spells for most of us. Few showers along the coast. Not as heavy as yesterday and warming up a bit.
Tomorrow afternoon, live on TalkSport, it is the FA Cup final. I'll be commentating. It's me, Sam Matterface, alongside my summarisers tomorrow, Stuart Pearce and Scott Minto, who happens to be in the studio.
Come on the show.
We've got an FA Cup final scorer in Scott Minto and an FA Cup final winner in Scott Minto on our commentary team tomorrow. We're on air from 1 o'clock. We kick off at 3 o'clock. It's Chelsea against Manchester City. Alex Crook, who's in the studio as well today, will be on the touchline and in the tunnel with both managers. He's already promised me that he's going to ask Pep Guardiola if it's his last act as Manchester City manager after the game.
Well, it's a question that's got to be asked because the noises about Pep leaving at the end of the season have been getting very loud this week. We've got no official confirmation from Manchester City. They'll point to the fact he has a contract until the end of next season. But I think a couple of his key backroom staff have already announced their departures. So again, that looks a pretty big indication to me that we could be seeing Pep Guardiola at Wembley as Manchester City manager for the last time.
Since Thomas Tuchel masterminded Chelsea's Champions League win over City in 2021, the Blues haven't beaten them once in 13 attempts. 10 City wins, 3 draws, and the Hex gets its biggest test tomorrow when they meet under the arch at Wembley. City, the first team ever to play in 4 consecutive FA Cup finals. They've lost the last 2. Chelsea lost the last 3 FA Cup finals in a row. Scott Minto, who is tomorrow bigger for?
Well, I think the FA Cup final, you just have to say, it's massive for both, to be honest with you. I mean, look, Pep Guardiola still has the possibility of making a domestic treble. I mean, it's just incredible when you think about, really, he's still in the rebuild. I'd be gutted, even though obviously I want Chelsea to win. I'd be gutted if Pep goes, because you know what I think about him, and I think he's ready to go again with the squad that he's built. But look, if Callum McFarlane suddenly does the job over Pep Guardiola, I mean, what a story that would be, wouldn't it? But we've seen Chelsea. We've seen in the big games, even though they weren't particularly great against Leeds in that semi-final, that first half, I thought they fully deserved to go through because of it. They can lift themselves. I thought they were very good against Liverpool at Anfield. Those big games at Wembley, I think the big boys come out to play. So, look, I still fancy Manchester City. Of course I do. But, you know, Chelsea have a puncher's chance.
It's actually 6 successive domestic cup final defeats for Chelsea.
I know.
Doesn't mean anything.
Just to make you two feel
doesn't
They're going to go, I
thing.
think, with the back 3 that played against Liverpool. And there's a suggestion Reece James will be available.
Someone tried to tell me they played a back 3 last week against Liverpool, and I'm not entirely sure that they did.
No.
It looked very much to me as if they were playing a back 4, which was slightly lopsided, where Gusto was pushing on down the right-hand side and Cucurella was playing as an out-and-out left winger.
By the way, he was superb as that kind of left winger. His little movements to go short, to go long. Actually, Curtis Jones couldn't get anywhere near him and was very unlucky that, you know, Chelsea perhaps didn't go on and win the game because of Marc Cucurella in that position. Malo Gusto was asked to look after the right-hand side, and then without the ball, it was kind of man for man. So
it was more of a sort of hybrid. And if you look at the average positions of the players, you look at it and it is more of a back 4 than a 5, to be honest with you. But anyway, look, I mean, what we see as a back 3 and a 4 or whatever, coaches don't really work in the same. It's 4-4-2 or it's 4-4-1-1. They work in a slightly different way about different areas of the pitch where you've got to take care of. Pep did rest Haaland, Doku, Cherki against Crystal Palace, all 3 of them on the bench. Was that a tacit admission that the title was gone, trust in the squad, or respect on the FA Cup from a man who has always taken the domestic trophies incredibly seriously?
I think probably a combination of all 3, but you're right, when it comes to the FA Cup, I think Pep has treated it with the respect that we all feel it deserves, obviously Scott in particular, as a former FA Cup winner. But I do think he's realistic. You know, Arsenal, they'll beat Burnley live on TalkSport on Monday, and you just wonder what sort of team Crystal Palace will send out on the last day of the season, how motivated they'll be. So Arsenal are going to get 6 points, and therefore he knows the title is out of Manchester City's hands.
For Chelsea, it's not really redemption, is it? It's almost like a paint job on a wreckage. Mid-table finish, owner churn, Maresca or Alonso, question marks over who's going to be the manager next year. A trophy doesn't fix a season where you finish maybe outside the top 10. It's the only thing, though, that they can hang on their wall. Reports that they're going to stick with that or change to a back 3. How does that change their approach? Because they did play a back 3 in the semi-final.
Would you play Reece James?
Yes, 100%. He has to. I think Levi Colwill was superb as well at Anfield. Surprised I think he lasted the whole game. Surprised he did, to be honest. And I was speaking to, producer Sim as a Spurs fan, actually. And I think for Spurs, it was a lucky time to play Aston Villa with the changes they made. I think Chelsea will be a little bit tired when they play on Tuesday, so changes will be made. But this is the biggest game they've got left. I know, of course, Chelsea... Well, of course, I've heard even Jace, say... there's 2 games left, and there are 2 games left, but the cup final is the biggest game by far. So he has to play the proper team. Reece James will play. I wouldn't be surprised if it's almost exactly the same as how it was at Anfield, because that was a really good performance in a big stadium, and the boys, I thought, did really, really well. As I say, they're able to lift themselves, limp their way to the end of the season. If you can beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final, and I know what you're saying about Chelsea's record and City, but they've lost the last 2, haven't they, in the final, where they were favourites for both of those.
Yeah, they lost against Crystal Palace last year in controversial circumstances. They lost against Manchester United the year before. Alejandro Garnacho could be available this weekend. He once scored in an FA Cup final against Manchester
Cookies, mate.
City. Xabi Alonso, that's the subplot, isn't it? It's the big story, really, that's going on behind the scenes. Is he going to be the Chelsea manager by the time we get to the next FA Cup final?
I think he'll be the Chelsea manager at the start of next season. I mean, you look at the shelf life of Chelsea managers, that doesn't mean he'll be there come the end of the season. But yeah, that does seem to be moving in a positive direction. I think he was a bit reluctant when they first entered negotiations, so I can only assume that he's been promised maybe a little bit more control than some of his predecessors have got. I know he's keen to manage in the Premier League. I think he's keen to live in London, which is why any Liverpool links maybe are a little bit far-fetched at this stage, not least because we expect Arne Slot to stay, certainly for the start of next season. But yeah, I think Alonso is moving forward in terms of Chelsea, and that might have a knock-on effect with Andoni Iraola and Crystal Palace.
This would be massive for Chelsea. If they're able to convince Xabi Alonso to go to Chelsea with what's happened and how much control the owners and the sporting directors have had and how little control the head coach. Remember, I was there at Stamford Bridge when Maresca was in charge, 2-2 against Bournemouth, and he took off Cole Palmer. There were boos around Stamford Bridge, screams of "you don't know what you're doing." Within a few weeks, he'd walked out. With all due respect, Mauricio Pochettino is a charming guy, fell out with the hierarchy. You've got Enzo Maresca who walked away. If the hierarchy now after Liam going mean what they say about they're going to reassess how they are and how they do things, if Xabi Alonso doesn't need a job, he doesn't, and he's not going to be being a manager until he's 70 or whatever. So every single job he takes, I don't judge anything that happened at Real Madrid. Look at the infighting, literal infighting that's going on at Real Madrid. Look at the job he did at Leverkusen. But he is someone who will come in and say, I want this, this and this. Luis Enrique was interviewed for the job and decided not to take it. Nagelsmann as well decided not to take it. But and it's not, for me, it's just a tweak. If they tweak and understand the head coach is really a manager, you give him more control, you get those senior pros in spinal positions, I genuinely think within a year or so, Chelsea can be challenging.
I also think that it's not just about adding the senior players, which we've talked about a lot on the Premier League All Access podcast, which is available now, by the way, in which we discussed this. It's not just about adding the experienced players or giving the manager the license to manage the team the way he wants and bring in certain players that he wants to add to the squad. I think it's about not allowing that situation that you just mentioned to happen again. That Cole Palmer substitution was not instigated by Maresca. It was instigated by advice from the medical department, and he walked away because he got told that he had to listen to something.
And then putting the doctor on the bench was the last straw.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
and do you know why I think he walked away? Because and I've heard people say, and I understand where they're coming from. Enzo Maresca, know your place. You've come from Leicester, and you've only been in charge as a manager for 1 year. But he knew what this squad is capable of with just those tweaks, just those extra. Okay, understand you want it to be a young side, but you can't have the average youngest starting 11 winning the Premier League. It just doesn't happen. You need that sprinkle of senior pros. And I think after winning the Club World Cup, as well as the Conference League and finishing fourth, he said behind the scenes, listen, we need this, this and this, because I'm getting loads of stick on results, but also I'm getting taken off our best player and I'm getting shouts of you don't know what you're doing. And just final thing on that, for the medical point of view, their job is to keep people fit. So if they take people off after 60 minutes, doesn't matter the result, and they're fit, job is done. The head coach is to win football matches.
And he's got to concentrate on that.
And he has to do that.
I think the most damning indictment of the Blue Cone model is that Maresca clearly felt that his reputation would be damaged more if he stayed at Chelsea than by walking away mid-season.
But it won't take a lot to change.
No.
Just a little tweak of a mindset.
Players there, and there's no getting away from that. There's some brilliant players at Chelsea, and there's a great degree of talent. If you add in Xabi Alonso, who's got a great record, unbeaten in the Bundesliga in 2024, won the title for Leverkusen. They used to be called Neverkusen because they never used to win anything, and then they won almost everything that season.
His record at Real Madrid was okay.
Yeah.
No, it was. The winning percentage was good, but
it was about the fallout with the players, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he's got to get the players on side. And I think he would have learned some experiences, would have taught him some new things about how to deal with big egos. And there is one or two of those, I'm sure.
Well, you do really well with that with Crookie, don't you?
Oh, that's a low blow, Mr. Minto, isn't it?
It is the FA Cup final tomorrow. We are looking forward to it. We're all going to be there. We're very excited about that. It must be said. It's always a privilege to get to work at an FA Cup final, and having seen some dramatic ones in the past, I'm hoping that tomorrow is going to be just as dramatic. My favourite cup final of all time was the 1997 FA Cup final. Chelsea hadn't won anything for 26 years since the European Cup Winners' Cup win against Real Madrid in a replay in 1971. Then Scott Minto turned up with his mates and they beat Middlesbrough by 2-0. And to celebrate afterwards, they got in a big bath with the FA Cup. And if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook right now or on the TalkSport app, you will be able to see Scott in the bath. Now, for some people, that might be quite a thing.
Who did you beat in the semis, that year?
Luckily, there's Wimbledon at Highbury.
3-0 at Highbury.
You beat Wimbledon and Middlesbrough.
Pompey at quarter-final.
And Pompey.
Yeah. At Pompey.
First division side.
Well, they fancy
themselves. A bit of a
themselves.
Gareth Southgate route to glory, though.
Still got to win it, mate.
Outrageous.
Got to win it. Honestly,
Outrageous.
because he scored at Fratton Park.
When you beat us in the final in 1994, didn't you beat Oldham to get there?
Yeah, and we nearly went out, but for a Mark Hughes wonder goal. I was at
Sparky
that game
plates.
at Fratton Park as a fan.
Were you?
Watching Portsmouth, yeah.
And didn't you jump on the Chelsea coach as well?
I did. I got thrown off by Rude Hullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got on there with my autograph book.
It's not the first time you've been kicked out of
I'm going to have
places.
to look through the autograph book and see if your signature is
I bet
actually
it's
in
there.
And that is
I
why
definitely got
to
Mark
Alex
Hughes that day. I definitely got Mark Hughes that day.
And that is why the Southampton fans were texting in their droves saying, as Alex Crooks declared the fact that he used to be a season ticket holder at Portsmouth. 03717 2233 44. Coming up, 22 years on from the Invincibles. We'll talk about them later on. Graham Roberts previews Spurs at Chelsea on Tuesday night and the importance of that. And, of course, we'll talk about Aston Villa against Liverpool, which is live tonight on TalkSport. It's Sam Matterface alongside Alex Crook and Scott Minto. We're here through till 1 with Selco's Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go.
Let me ask this. Out of all the players that Tottenham have, in terms of technical dribbling ability, is Maddison not able to change the direction of the ball at drop of a hat? Is he not, though? Is that not his bag? Yeah. That's what he can do, right? Yeah. Come on now.
How
bro.
often?
Come on now.
What we talking? You're talking about James Maddison.
Oh, here we go. He hates him, innit? Yeah, here we go.
I don't care about James Maddison, but we can't pretend that James Maddison is some sort of...
Maddison would walk into your squad right now.
James Maddison?
Maddison would walk into your squad right now.
There isn't a Chelsea
and furthermore, in terms of your 10s and creative players, if Maddison was on his day, he'd be the best one in your team. On his day, yeah.
This is the most wild thing I've ever heard.
Who are your cams? It's not. Cole Palmer.
You do wild comments. It's very rare that I'm speechless, but this is that moment.
Cole Palmer, I'm a fan of Cole. I think he's great. And on his day, he's an amazing player, yeah. I do think Maddison, though, on his day, provides something that you don't have in your squad right now.
James Maddison wouldn't have got into a Chelsea squad in the last 40 years.
That's insane.
There isn't one Chelsea squad.
He's getting in this squad. There isn't a Chelsea
right
squad
now.
James start for you now.
James Maddison.
While he was injured, he would have started for you.
James, do you know what? If he was part of our squad, do you know what he'd be doing? He'd be vlogging it from the sidelines, sitting with opposing fans' YouTube channel.
You know what, yeah? My Spurs friends have warned me about you, yeah?
Yeah, trust me.
But look, I respect it. I actually respect what you're saying. Like, it's fair enough. You're entitled to an opinion. You're wrong, but you're entitled to an opinion.
I'm completely correct.
No,
you are wrong. Trust me. You're wrong. You're actually wrong. He's wrong. Tell him.
Do you know part of the reason why Tottenham are in this predicament?
Go on.
It's because of the standards that are set by vice-captain James Maddison, sitting in the stands, vlogging with angry Ginge as you concede goals against Man United.
I have no problem with that at all. I think he's a great player. If he wants to vlog while he's injured, he's got an ACL. What do you want him to do? Sit around moping?
That's a Tottenham mentality.
You get in your squad.
All right.
Maddison.
Yeah.
Maddison doesn't
He
get
would.
near
He
it.
would.
Good Friday to you. Hope you're having a great Friday this morning. It's going to be a brilliant weekend of live sport. We've got so much of it on TalkSport as well. When you think about Hearts Celtic tomorrow is going to be a massive game. We're going to obviously cover that on TalkSport. Tonight we've got Aston Villa against Liverpool. We've got the FA Cup final. We've got Manchester United against Nottingham Forest on Sunday. Kicks off at 12:30. The whole day, as would usually be a Saturday on a Sunday, with Adrian Durham from 2:30. So he'll take you around the grounds as he always does in a brilliant style. And then, of course, on Monday night, we've got Arsenal against Burnley, which is Arsenal taking an extra step towards what could be their first title in 22 years. All of those games live on TalkSport this weekend. We can't wait to bring it to you. Make sure you get the TalkSport app if you're going out or going to a barbecue or going down the park or going out shopping. Take your TalkSport app with you. You can listen to everything. Graham Roberts, the former Spurs, Chelsea and Rangers defender, joins us now. Hi, Graham.
Hi, Sam. How you doing?
Yeah, we're very good. Thank you, Graham. You're known for your 6 years at Spurs. You won 2 FA Cups. You won a UEFA Cup.
Yeah.
You had 2 great years at Rangers. You led Chelsea to the second division title in 1989, where you got 15 goals as the captain, a brilliant leader, as you were on Monday, as Crook and I went out and played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, all thanks to BetMGM. Thank you for being our gaffer.
Listen. You got it wrong. It was Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. It's been painful ever since, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but your problem was you turned up Monday.
A Crookie turned up Wednesday.
If we'd have had more players like Joe, your leader there, I think we might have done even better. But
really?
Listen,
yeah.
You don't think he told me to say that, do you? I got one thing to say for Crookie.
Go on.
Crookie, you cannot have a go at any striker for missing the far post. Your shot, you had a great shot, but it went to the near post and it went behind the goal. If you'd have hit the far post, Sam could have run in and tapped it in.
Exactly.
The goalie has saved it.
I've been trying to tell him that.
Yeah, so now, Crookie, you can't have a go at anybody that misses it by the near post.
To be honest, I was just pleased that I managed to get there. You had the legs to carry me to get on the end of the ball. But yeah, you're right. I probably should have squared it, but then he might have scored at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So.
I know, they would never live it down.
Right, OK, let's talk about Spurs. 1 win in their last 35 away league games against Chelsea. Yep, I'll read that again. 1 win in 35 away league games at Chelsea. But have you seen encouraging signs under De Zerbi, or more of the same?
No, I have. Like the last 2 away games, we beat Wolves. I know it was Wolves, but we still had to beat them. And Aston Villa, people say they had their reserves out, but listen, they're all in the squad. It's a 25-man squad. We played very well on the day. Could have been more goals. And then you come the other night against Leeds. I don't think the referee was the best. If you have a look at it, he's booked 46 of our players in 16 games.
Is that right?
I don't know, so it's not the best. But no, listen, let's get back to the football.
One of your players did kick one of their players in the head, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, we lost him.
He didn't like that question. To be fair, he did address that when we were talking to him on Tuesday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He did address that, saying, like, this is the area where you do not do that in. Yeah. So if boys, he was giving us a bit of a team talk on that. I think the elephant in the room here, Scott Minto, is Chelsea's FA Cup final. It's 3 days before.
Yes.
Now, Chelsea traditionally always turn up against Spurs, even if they're not playing particularly well. 2016 is the sort of always cited as the example of that. If they win at Wembley, does it fuel them? Does it take the sort of sting out of playing this game? Does it fire them up? Which way round is it going to be? Does it psychologically change anything?
No, I think whatever happens with the FA Cup, we talked about, obviously, the FA Cup is by far the biggest remaining game left. But Spurs, we know how much Chelsea fans dislike Spurs. So they've got to be up for this. I mean, my question was going to be, actually, to Graham, if we do get him back, is, yeah, he's right about Villa. There's still good players to be wearing the Aston Villa shirt. I'm sorry, that was such a poor performance. And what about the timing of playing after just a few days after the FA Cup final. Some of these players like Levi Colwill and Reece James, I'd be very surprised if they start against Spurs. So would that be... Okay, Graham, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Go on. No
So,
problem.
I mean, look, whether it's luck or whether it's not, it doesn't matter. But how important, from a Spurs point of view, is it that you're playing just a few days after Chelsea in the FA Cup final, where they have injury problems themselves and will probably not be able to play their full strength 11 after what might well be a very difficult game mentally and physically?
Well, I think they should play their youth team, I think, to be honest. No, but listen, Scott, you played there. I played there. Like, there's a quite a toxic atmosphere to be there on Tuesday night. I'm going to the game, so but Chelsea always turn up against Tottenham, home or away. They always turn up. Even when I joined the club, it was sort of, they didn't like Tottenham, but I actually joined Chelsea, and I loved it every time I played there. I loved playing there, and we got them back into the first division. But no, it's going to be, listen, whenever Chelsea play Tottenham, it's a tough game. Probably the toughest game of the season for Tottenham. And this is no different.
Okay, Graham, thank you very much for joining us today. Appreciate that. And thanks for all your help on Tuesday as well.
Still getting there a day early.
Yeah, mate, honestly, it felt like it was 5 days ago.
You're feeling it, aren't you? I did a
am feeling
5K run yesterday. I was fine.
48.
You're in a little bit better nick than me, though. Well, you were until recently.
No, you are.
Until recently.
You are literally half the man you used to be, Crookie.
Okay. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto. We're here with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. Just want to say, I think the biggest result of this weekend that's going to influence that match on Tuesday, actually, is the West Ham result away at Newcastle United. Because if West Ham win, then Tottenham go into that game against Chelsea inside the relegation.
And there's so many fascinating narratives, aren't there, around this? The rivalry between Chelsea and Tottenham, Chelsea fans would love to play a part in sending them down. If it goes the last day of the season, who do Tottenham face? David Moyes. Could do his old club a favour, West Ham.
Coming up after this, as long as he's not had a big night at the darts, been invited to a hospitality event, or taken a quick city break with Mrs. Towles, Dan Towles from BetMGM will be with us in the studio.
Ben White is to miss the rest of Arsenal's season and is set to be ruled out of the World Cup. A suspected knee ligament injury for Ben. He picked it up on Sunday. I think it was a 50-50, wasn't it? With Somerville of West Ham. Now, up until now, Tuchel has ignored Trent Alexander-Arnold since his move to Real Madrid this summer. Could it be goodbye Ben and hello Trent? What do you think?
My gut feeling is Tuchel just doesn't fancy Trent, no matter who's fit or not, to be honest. From a defensive point of view, that's how it feels. The recent squad, he had 36, and he didn't put him in. So I don't see why I'd be putting him in now.
You think he's decided he's not going to be featured?
Feels that way.
Yeah,
I might be completely wrong, but
no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be going. It's a shame for Ben White because he seems to be in a good books for Tuchel, and he's just started to get his form back a little bit, playing regularly because Timber's injury. He's decent player.
Yeah,
yeah. And I know Gary Neville had a little criticism of the way he made that tackle. I kind of make him right in a way, but the problem you've got now, because I missed the final once by dangling a leg. Rio come through me hard, Rio Ferdinand, the way it leads it was, and I did my ligaments, missed the final because of it. And I look back on the tackle and think, yeah, I should have gone in full tilt. Problem you've got now with the way the rules are, especially with the follow through rule, even if you go in full tilt and you do get the ball, but you catch someone on the way through,
and you get a red card.
Yeah, it actually encourages you to be a bit more tentative.
So what is it when you're going in fairly committed, but don't end up truly committed?
Yeah.
I mean, Gary Neville said Ben White just hangs his leg there. It's poor. He's got to be stronger than that. He's hurt himself there.
Yeah, and that's my point.
He says you're asking for trouble by doing that.
Yeah, he's right.
It's reported Southampton's Spygate hearing could take place today. Our EFL expert Adrian Clark reckons Tonda Eckert's side should be kicked out of the playoffs.
I think EFL have got to stamp out, this spying. It's against the rules. A financial punishment isn't enough. I think there has to be a sporting sanction.
An independent panel will go over the evidence. The EFL warn next Saturday's playoff final with Hull City might be postponed. Now, Bruno Fernandes is sad Declan Rice chose Arsenal over Man United. He says Rice would have fitted in perfectly at Old Trafford. Meanwhile, former Arsenal midfielder Jack Wilshere's told us Martin Odegaard is the key if Arsenal are going to win this Champions League final.
You see when he comes on the pitch the other day and he just brings a little bit of control in midfield. I think they have to try and find some control. PSG is a different type of team. They just want to attack. They don't necessarily want to control the game with possession anymore. They just want to get it in forward areas.
Arsenal could take a huge step towards winning the Premier League by beating Burnley live on TalkSport on Monday. And Sir David Beckham is Britain's first billionaire sportsman. He and Victoria are worth 1.2 billion quid. That's according to the new Sunday Times rich list. But Man United co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe's fortune is down 2 billion. He's worth 15.2 billion pounds. Man United versus Nottingham Forest in the Premier League is live on TalkSport Sunday lunchtime.
I love a Friday. It's TalkSport, it's Sam Matterface, it's Alex Crook, it's Scott Minto, and drum roll please, because our celebrity BetMGM ambassador is here. It's time to catch up with the latest odds with Dan Towles.
It's showtime on TalkSport with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. Gambleaware.org.
Good to see you, Dan Towles.
See you twice in a week.
Yeah,
You and Crookie. Yeah, I know. It's good. Yeah.
Dan, tell us, please, because obviously we've heard Sam was at the far post free. Crookie didn't pass to him.
Yeah.
We know that Crookie is now saying he's fitter than Sam because Sam's injured. Just give us a
flavour of what really
flavour
happened.
of what both of them were like, please.
Crookie was on the bench to start with, and his first touch went out for a throw-in. That's no joke.
Was it clearance?
It wasn't. It wasn't. You tried to bring it down, and it ended up in the West Stand. And then Sam got frustrated towards the end, didn't you? The arms were waving about. It was like Simeone on the side. He was throwing his arms.
Was
up,
he?
the ball didn't get squared to him. Yeah, but
wasn't happy.
It didn't have much impact on the game either.
The best moment. So I was playing at the back. I've gone up for a corner. It's a big pitch, that right. So I've gone up to the opposing penalty area. Our team have taken the corner, played it back to the corner taker, He's offside.
That was bad.
We were offside from a corner, and then I've got to race back to the other end of the pitch.
Sorry, you got to race back.
Wasn't it?
I've got a picture of you and Matterface being called back for a corner, and you weren't exactly sprinting, were you?
It took 34 seconds for him to get back.
Graham Roberts was telling me to hang out on the halfway line just in case it came out to me on the break, so I was just following instruction.
Fair enough. But it was a good day, though.
It was a fantastic day, and it was a brilliant night last night in the BetMGM Premier League darts in Birmingham.
It was night 15 of 17, and Luke Humphreys has finally won a night, which I think, had we sat here at the start of the tournament saying it's going to take him 15 weeks for the world number 2 to win one, we would all been quite surprised. But his victory last night means that we now know the top 4 for the O2 in a couple of weeks' time. So it's Luke Littler, Johnny Clayton, Gerwyn Price, and himself, Luke Humphreys. But despite not knowing the top 4, there's still a little bit of play for in Sheffield next week, because 3rd and 4th place are on the same points, Price and Humphreys. So separate sides of the draw, depending on how they go on next week, will determine who they play in the final. Littler, as he has been for most of the tournament, is the outright favourite at 4-5. Humphreys 3-1. Going Price at 9-2. And Johnny Clayton, who's fallen off a little bit, is 7-1. But that might be a bit of a price come to finals night in 2 weeks' time.
Going to be some atmosphere when it gets to finals night in 2 weeks' time. We'll be there all together. I'm going to come.
Yeah, you've changed your flight?
I've changed my flight. I'm going to come in straight from Leipzig after Crystal Palace have hopefully won the Conference League.
Have you sorted out his accommodation yet?
He has asked me if he could stay with me, and I've said no.
Have you sorted out the after party? You were struggling with that the other day.
You were.
After party?
Yeah, you.
Oh yeah, no,
you
don't
were
worry,
overruled. You were overruled.
Oh, don't worry, that will change.
Because you were suggesting one thing, and one of your colleagues was like,
and I was asking for a wider drink selection than last year. Not that I'm ungrateful.
You were moaning.
Yeah, because he did have his drink on tap on Tuesday. He had the
He did.
Oh, gee, it's hard work, isn't it?
Dan, we live in his world.
I know. Yeah, I heard that this morning. You're right, Scott. You're right. Yeah.
We have to play to his
tune. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about the FA Cup final. Will Chelsea be playing to Manchester City's tune tomorrow? 6 domestic cup finals without lifting a trophy. 4 finals in a row without scoring a goal. Can that change tomorrow?
You've literally just read my computer, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Man City obviously beat Arsenal 2-0 in the FA Cup final, but had lost the previous 2 finals versus Palace and Man United. And as you alluded to, Chelsea's record at Wembley in the last 3 FA Cup finals isn't great. As you'd expect, Man City are odds on to win the game. Chelsea 19-5 with a draw at 3-1. Talking about Man City, and given the money they spent in the summer, they introduced Gay and Semenyo. Let's assume the market's right and they pick up the trophy Saturday. Do you think they perceive it as a good season, or do you think they've been slightly underwhelmed because they've had the same amount of points as Arsenal since the start of the year? So have they closed the gap? Have they gone beyond them? Not really. Do you think they'll look at it and go 2 trophies, big thumbs up, or do you think they go slightly undercooked it this year?
Well, I mean, I've gone on record, and Cookie and I have gone sort of locked horns a little bit, that I think that the Man City in their prime just a few years ago is the best, and it's all subjective, of course, but the best team English football has seen.
Yeah.
Better than Fergie's sides, better than Bob Paisley's sides back in the early 80s. And then last season they fell off a cliff. I don't think he was necessarily expecting to be Manchester City manager. Brazil and England were talked about, but he stayed, and he realised he had to. I still think they're in a rebuilding stage, which seems incredible considering who they bought, the money they've spent. But next year almost is the one where I'd expect them. To start the season, I said Arsenal, and I still fancy Arsenal. So actually, if you still win,
because they've got Burnley and Palace to play.
I said it before. Ball was kicked. Alex Crook.
No, it's the fact you say you still fancy Arsenal.
Well, okay.
Well
I'm.
So
my
you've
point
still
is,
got time to change your mind again.
Who did you say?
I went Liverpool.
You did go Liverpool. Anyway, so moving swiftly on. Before ball was kicked, I said Arsenal. So actually, I'm not surprised. This is Arsenal's season. It should be Arsenal's season. I think it will be Arsenal's season. So to win both domestic cups, I think is a decent season.
Okay, fair.
Each week we put a prediction on some of the upcoming games on Golden Goals. If we correctly guess the exact scoreline, BetMGM donates £500 to our chosen charity, Prostate Cancer UK. Gabby's not here today, so Scott's going to take part. It would be quite embarrassing, won't it, for Alex Crook if Scott wins £500 as well?
He's already won £500. He got
has he?
Arsenal right, in November time.
Right. So you're only here like 5 times a season, and you've already won one of these.
I have. Yeah. What's Crookie's record then? Because I don't know.
I don't know. No, 0 out of 41.
Sorry,
can you repeat that? 41. So it started the end of last season. It's continued into this season.
However, there will be money in the pot from my prediction that United will finish 5th.
We'll come on to that in the last show of the season.
That was when the Portuguese manager was in.
That's next week. Okay, so what we got this week then?
So free to play game on the app. Predict 6 correct scores, you win £250,000. But for you guys, we try and get some money in the pot for prostate cancer. Sam, we've given you Newcastle West Ham.
Newcastle have got to show up in their final home game of the season, especially bearing in mind that there's a lot of tension in and around the Eddie Howe situation. But West Ham have got to show up on the road because they need desperately the points. I'm not entirely sure they're going to have enough to get all three. I've gone Newcastle 2, West Ham 2.
Yeah, I agree. I think both teams will go for this. I see a lot of goals in this. A 2-2 draw. Both teams have scored in 5 of the last 6 meetings at St James's Park. So a 2-2 draw is 10-1. Mr. Minto, coming to you for Leeds Brighton. I think this is a tough trip for Brighton, even though Leeds are.
I do. You know, this is the last home game at Ellen Road for Leeds. I think they've had a fantastic season, them staying up, and obviously nearly got to the FA Cup final. So the fans will be behind them. Always loved covering games there. But Brighton has still got a chance of a Champions League place.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Champions League place for Brighton. So I actually think this is going to be a draw as well. My head says 1-1, but I've gone for 2-2 because I think both teams will go for it as well.
Yeah, as you said, both in good form. Leeds haven't lost in 7. Brighton only lost 1 in 7. So a 2-2 draw is 9.5-1. And then Mystic Meg, Mark Goldbridge.
Let's ruin it.
Brentford Palace we've given you.
Well, I've resorted to desperate measures. So I asked my 6-year-old this morning what she thought the score would be. And she's gone 3-1 to Brentford.
So just remember, if it's right, he doesn't get to claim the victory.
We'll get Rose on the show every week, yeah. Brentford won the reverse fixture 2-0, but haven't actually done the double since 1958, which is almost 70 years ago, which is a similar amount of time since you last got a prediction right. Scott, you went 2-2 Leeds Brighton. Sam, Newcastle West Ham. You also went 2-2 Cricky. You've gone Brentford 3-1 Palace. The treble's 1100-1, but like we always say, let's try and get some money in the pot for prostate cancer.
USPGA Golf, quickly on that.
Very quickly. I don't know if you saw Rory's interview after his round yesterday. He said one word that summed it up quite nicely. He's at +4 now. He's now 66-1 to win it, despite being a 17-2 chance at the start. The one who's looking anonymous is Scotty Scheffler. He's 3 under already. 6-4 favourite now, having been 5-1, and it would be his second championship in 2 years if he goes on to win.
Short, isn't it? 6-4 is short.
It's like Tiger Woods odds, wasn't it? Like when he was at the top of his game. But he's a very, very good player, and he'll definitely be around and about it come Sunday.
And you won your golf tournament at the weekend.
I did. I don't like to talk about it. Yeah, but
the only reason he was.
I was on the Guinness Zero the other day.
I was. Yeah, I wasn't drinking, was I? No, but yeah, I turned up to my local society for the first time in 3 years and won it with 38 points. But thanks for bringing that up, Cookie.
What does it taste like, Guinness Zero?
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, I mean, the fact that I was out with Crookie and Sam, I probably should have been drinking. But yeah, no.
Hey, by the way, Charlie Robertson, he stayed out really late with me that night.
Yeah, but Charlie Robertson lives in London. Some of us have got an hour and a half journey to get home, and then, as I said, an 8:15 meeting. So,
well, we missed you, Dan.
Oh, well, thanks for coming anyway.
And thank you very much for having us. That was a look ahead to all the weekend sporting action, all thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk. Download the app and try it today. 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on TalkSport with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
This is TalkSport. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto. We're here till 1. Still got to look ahead to tonight's big action, which is live on TalkSport at 8 o'clock tonight. It's Aston Villa against Liverpool. We'll do that next. And we'll talk a little bit about Harvey Elliot. Unai Emery says he's embarrassed. Should he be, or is someone else to blame? 03717 2233 44. We're here with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go.
We've got Jason Bourne sitting in front of the back three.
What goes over the top?
Yeah, but Jason Bourne's just going to eat everyone up.
You got Shaggy running in behind
No,
Jaws.
Shaggy's didn't make the team. You binned him.
Who's there?
Talkie, Jaws and Scooby-Doo.
Okay. All right, fine, okay.
All right, here we go, boys. Well done, everyone. This is a good team. Our Spy Sports Bar 11. In goal, we've got Octopussy.
Tell us why.
Well, it's just good arms. Good arms.
They've got
back three.
Arms and legs.
We've got the back three, the walkie-talkie, Jaws, and Scooby-Doo. Solid back three.
I'm happy with that.
Up and down Scooby-Doo, walkie-talkie, good community, Jaws, edit and kick it. Jason Bourne in midfield, eating everyone up with the binoculars for vision in the middle of the pitch. Inspector Gadget, playing number 10. The main man, does everything. He's got the lot. Johnny English, out left. Can go missing. Can be a bit of a mess, but he always comes up with something. Right wing, the Maverick. Got the mojo, Austin Powers. And then up front, we've got the fake moustache, he's good in the box. And we've got James Bond, because he shoots to kill. That is
I think we pulled it together, you know.
Bar 11 on spying. All right, and we're going to carry this on, by the way, guys, because up next, it gets better. We are joined by former British military intelligence officer Philip Ingram to tell us where it all went wrong for Southampton and Spygate. Okay, this is TalkSport. It's Sam Matterface and Alex Crook. Remember, this Sunday, I mean, we've got a massive weekend of live football here on TalkSport, but on Sunday, we will be at Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest. It kicks off at 12:30, by which time will Michael Carrick be the manager of Manchester United going forward for the longer term, Alex Crook?
Well, this is a story we reported a couple of weeks ago that Michael Carrick was to be offered the permanent job, and I'm now being told that the contract offer on the table from Manchester United is a 2-year deal initially with the option of a third. So the long-term commitment that I think Michael Carrick was looking for, Manchester United, I don't believe, have spoken to too many alternative candidates. I think they've seen Carrick's body of work and they believe he is the best man for the job moving forward.
12:30 on Sunday lunchtime, Manchester United against Nottingham Forest. I wonder whether or not it will be that day that they announce that he is going to be the new manager. We shall see. If it happens, it'll happen live on TalkSport. 109 minutes, that's it. Harvey Elliott's Premier League season and Aston Villa. 4 appearances, 1 start in September, hauled off at half-time. Hasn't played in the league since February. What went wrong, Scott Minto?
I think you've got, I mean, when you think about how Aston Villa started the season and Monchi, the football director of football, going, clearly Unai Emery wasn't happy with the recruitment. I think the fact that Harvey Elliot to play 10 games triggers a release clause of, 35 million?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Emery was willing to pay that, considering that Villa are, worried about PSR and have to be very careful with that. So what I don't understand is... maybe I can understand Villa if that's the case. And Emery, we know, is Lord of the Manor there. And he what he says goes, and that's absolutely fine. I get that. But why accept that in the first place, and why not somehow get a deal for Liverpool to take him back? Is someone wanting more money here? This is a kid who had a wonderful Euros, was the star of the tournament, was ready to crack on with his career, was hoping that he could maybe even get into the England senior squad. And yet, for some reason, between his two football clubs, he's not playing minutes on the pitch. And I think Emery has called it embarrassing. I think it's disgraceful.
Well, frozen out is putting it kindly, isn't it? Elliot's been treated like a Christmas decoration that's been left in the loft. The cost, a World Cup squad place, possibly, could have been involved, maybe in that after a great Euros. But more importantly, a season of inactivity at a crucial time in his development as a first-team player. Who's at fault here, Crook?
Aston Villa. They entered into the deal with an obligation. I think they're the ones who've ultimately gone back on their word. I know they tried to get Liverpool to terminate the loan mid-season, or at least take out the obligation. I can understand why, from a financial standpoint, Liverpool weren't willing to do that. But in terms of who's the victim here, obviously, as you've said there, it feels like a year wasted for Harvey Elliot. And interesting to see what he does next. Does he go back to Liverpool and be reintegrated? Or, as I suspect, is he one of the players they're looking to sell this summer?
Why didn't Liverpool just take him back?
I don't.
That's a good question, bearing in mind that they've suffered so heavily with injuries.
Yeah,
but lacked a little bit of creativity at times.
Yeah, but clearly they didn't see a role for him in the team, and I guess there's a risk that you're swapping one bench for another.
Well, we don't know, because Liverpool have struggled big time this season, and I don't want to go down the mental health route, but what I would say is
do they have a duty of care?
Yeah, they have a duty, first of all, to Liverpool Football Club, but also to the player himself. This is a player who, by all accounts, even when he hasn't been playing for Aston Villa, has been training 100%.
Apparently he's been a really
true
good
professional, so good character. And Liverpool would have known that.
That will set him in good stead.
Yeah, but he's been put back a year. He's missed out on a year. That might be put back another year. So for me, Liverpool, if you're not willing to take out the clause of the contract, say, give him back and we'll look after him at our place.
For his part, Unai Emery has been speaking about this in the build-up to the match, and he says, fundamentally, he's embarrassed by it.
This decision is very difficult, or it's easy, but it's not the moment. Of course, it's something embarrassing for everything we are involving in it. And my apologies for Harvey Elliot is every day in my mind. But it's the responsibility. And we have our responsibility, and Liverpool, they have their responsibility. And of course, it's something as a human, as a person, how is going the season for him is difficult.
That's Unai Emery speaking about the Harvey Elliott situation. This is a huge game tonight for both these two teams. I mean, I wasn't convinced that it was as decisive as it actually really is, I suppose. I mean, I think there's enough of a gap to Bournemouth for them not to be too worried, Aston Villa. But if they were to lose this one and lose on the final day of the season, they could open the door to the Champions League for one of the others.
Yeah, I think it is still jeopardy as far as Aston Villa are concerned. Just when you look at their recent form, 8 points, I think it is, from their last 9 league games. Now, you could argue they're distracted by the Europa League, much like Spurs were this time last season, and Manchester United to a lesser extent as well. But if they lose this game, I'd be a little bit concerned, because I'm fairly confident Bournemouth get a positive result against Manchester City on Tuesday. My prediction is that's where the title race ends. If they were to beat Manchester City, I would fancy Bournemouth to go up to Forest on the last day and get 3 points. So Villa might just be feeling them breathing down their necks.
Their last game is at City as well, isn't it? I mean, I personally think that City will win. I don't think that Bournemouth could easily draw in that game. I don't think City will lose. But they want to just try and put it to bed. I just think with only 2 games left in the game, and the fact that Bournemouth have City, which I believe they won't win, I think it would be fine. I do think Villa will finish 5th. I do think they will win the Europa League. So therefore, that 6th spot will be a Champions League place. But for Villa, I think top 5 and winning the Europa League, what a wonderful season that
Do
would
you know
be.
what's brilliant about that scenario? You're going to get probably Bournemouth or Brighton, potentially Brentford as well, in the Champions League next season. They are 3 of the best run clubs.
You're
going to
get all 3 of them in the Champions League.
No, but you're going to get. I'm saying for me, it's either Bournemouth or Brighton, but you have to include Brentford in the conversation. Yeah. And they're 3 of the best run clubs in the country. You look at Chelsea and the mess that they've made of it this season. You look at Tottenham, and I think a lot of their problems that have been mismanagement at board level. Bournemouth, Brighton, and Brentford as sort of standard bearers. What happens if you've actually got a decent owner and a decent structure?
It's a reward, isn't it, for running your club properly, doing proper recruitment and having a little bit of stability.
Yeah, I mean, what a job Keith Andrews has done. And actually, when they're in, I think they're in 5th around about Christmas, January time. If they'd have gone again, then perhaps.
You know what, though? Even in the last couple of weeks, there's been results where they've played okay and should have got more from it. Go to Manchester United, and that game in particular, they played particularly well in and didn't get anything from it when they probably should have done. Just a quick word on, just before we go, about Harvey Elliot. One more on that. What happens to him next was going to be the final question. You look at his situation and what's happened going to Aston Villa. You look at what happened to Calvin Phillips when he went to Manchester City. You look at what happened to Danny Drinkwater when he went to Chelsea. You look at Jack Rodwell and what happened to him, and Ross Barkley. These are all players that starred at young ages for clubs in and around the sort of mid-area of the Premier League, or had a great career with England, as Elliot has done, and then their career just stuttered. I'm looking at Elliot Anderson, who's had a brilliant season at Nottingham Forest. He's on the verge of a big move, we think. What would you advise him to do next?
I think first of all, if Manchester City come in for him, I'd want to know who the manager was and the fact that he really wants me. I understand what you're saying, but then you can turn around and say, and the obvious one in my head, look at Declan Rice. I mean, £100 million spent, and he's gone and absolutely smashed it at Arsenal.
But my list is longer.
You've just chucked out that list. Give me a bit of time.
You mentioned Grealish, did you?
Give me a bit of time, and maybe I could have a long list as well. The bottom line is, it's the mentality of the player. How do you turn down Manchester City? Well, I mean, Nottingham Forest, great club, we know. I'm old enough to remember the late 70s of the champions of Europe, but they're not that now. You can't turn down an offer to Manchester City, whether it be Liverpool or Arsenal.
I think it depends what type of character you are. I had no doubts, for example, that Antoine Semenyo would go and do well at Manchester City because he is... He's
good example, Crook.
Yeah,
like that.
He's got his head screwed on.
Does Crook just come to your rescue?
He did. Well, he's added to my list of one.
Jordan Henderson, Liverpool.
Yeah,
didn't work out too badly with him. James Milner at various clubs. I get where you're coming from, but I just sense that Elliot Anderson has the right grounding to go. And
you're right to ask the question, though, because it is 50-50.
037172234. Lots to talk about between now and the end of the show. Remember that game, Liverpool against Aston Villa, is live on TalkSport from Villa Park tonight. This is Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto. We're here till 1 o'clock.
So what? Listen, Middlesbrough went 1-0 up, Jamie.
He's right.
Right, they played brilliant. The first half, we scored an equaliser, right, and that done it. That put it to bed because the second half we come out flying, mate. Middlesbrough had nothing. They were leggy. They were gone.
I think the rule is if you're going to
great call.
Don't get caught.
What? What's that?
The rule is you're going to cheat.
Is that your analysis of?
I think
Spygate.
I think if
you're going to cheat, don't get caught.
Well, I think if you cheat, no, rule number one, don't get caught. Can't get caught cheating, mate. Can you?
You can't say that, mate.
Well, you can.
You can't. You can't.
I don't think it's cheating.
What do you mean?
Just don't get caught.
What do you mean? It's cheating.
It's not cheating.
It is a form of cheating.
It's not a form of cheating, but if you are cheating, don't get caught.
Is texting another woman cheating?
What are you saying to her?
Well,
you tell me what I'm saying, I'll tell you it's cheating.
We're just having a little chat. We're having a,
No, it's not cheating.
We're having a little chat. You be a bit flirty.
Right, okay, what am I saying? You give me the context of the text, and I'll tell you it's cheating.
Say, I see you at the bar the other day. I got your number, and I thought I'd give you a message. I thought you look really pretty.
That's not cheating in my book.
You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace.
Oh, that's not cheating, is it?
What do you mean? It's a form of cheating.
It's not.
It is.
No, it's not. It's fine.
You can't get away with that.
No, I think you wouldn't.
You can't get
no,
away
but here's
with
the thing. I ain't got caught. Delete the tweet. Delete the text. Delete the text.
TalkSport Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With the headlines at 2 minutes past 12, I'm Tom Clayton. Good afternoon. It's our understanding Manchester United have offered Michael Carrick a 2-year contract with an optional extra. The club wants the deal done by this weekend. Carrick has taken Man United to third in the Premier League, winning 10 of his 15 games in charge. We're told Middlesbrough have been refused access to Southampton's Spygate hearing potentially today. Only Saints and the independent panel will be there. We could get a ruling on Southampton's alleged spying. Here's our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook.
If it is systematic, it doesn't just affect Middlesbrough, does it? Take Wrexham, for example, who missed out on a playoff place on the last day of the season. They got hammered by Southampton towards the end of the campaign. Had that result have gone differently, they would have been in the top 6.
Yeah.
So they have a claim as well.
The EFL have warned a playoff final with Hull City could still be postponed. TalkSport's Scott Minto says the rules have been poorly drafted.
You have to blame the EFL for this as well, though. The law's in place, but not the penalty. How can you have a law in place and then say, look, right, you do this, you get that? And that's not the case.
The EFL have confirmed the case cannot go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and any appeal would be heard here by another independent panel. Elsewhere today, Seamus Coleman's thanked Everton fans for helping him in more ways than they could imagine. He's leaving Everton after 17 years and still deciding whether he'll stay on as a coach or play elsewhere. Also, Bournemouth defender Marcos Senesi's confirmed he's leaving the club this summer. Plus, we're told that Arsenal are interested in West Ham midfielder Mateus Fernandes. And with West Ham at Newcastle on Sunday, Richarlison's confirmed Spurs players have the weekend off to watch their relegation rivals. Spurs are next in action on Tuesday against Chelsea, and Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy will be doing a live watch-along on the TalkSport YouTube channel.
TalkSport News.
Box office. Wes Streeting is backing Andy Burnham to become an MP again, and British Gas are in trouble for force-fitting prepayment meters. Emma has more at past.
TalkSport weather with QuickFit. The tyre transfer window is hotting up, and we've signed a multi-generational talent with Continental Tyres. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Dry with sunny spells for many, a few showers on the coast with more developing inland too, feeling less cold than recent days.
I honestly believe I will get Filip Pergovic to Doncaster. I am going to really shock him and shock the boxing world.
Please welcome the Doncaster De La Hoya, David the White Rhino Ellis. A massive win for the Doncaster heavyweight.
100% in my whole heart, I'm picking Dave Allen for a stoppage. It could be by way of cut.
The Dave Allen story, it will all ride on this one night.
Dave Allen could be on the verge of his quickest victory ever here
This is the entertainment business. Dave Allen ticks all the boxes.
I just have a feeling that Dave Allen can do this. I am having it DN12 style, believe me.
It's TalkSport, it's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto, and tomorrow night, Saturday night, TalkSport brings you live commentary of the heavyweight clash between Dave Allen and Filip Hrgović in Doncaster. You can also watch it live on DAZN. I'm delighted to say that Dave Allen's trainer, Jamie Moore, joins us now from Doncaster Racecourse. Hello, Jamie, thanks for coming on.
How's things, boys? All right?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Now, racecourse behind you. Am I right to assume that Dave's been warming up for the fight by running around the racecourse? Is that right?
He certainly has. He's been doing laps around there with his old man, he tells me. So, and I've seen the evidence. I've seen videos on Instagram. So he's not telling fibs.
Which is good news. Right, OK, so you were... well, Dave was on the show a couple of days ago, and he was talking about this possibility of a little wager he had with you. This is Dave speaking to us last week.
Well, about 8 weeks ago, I said to Jamie and I'm going to weigh under 18 stone. And I said, all right, we've heard that one before. So I said, if I don't do it, I'll give 50 grand to charity of your choosing. And I meant it, and I said, I'll pay up if I don't. So tomorrow at 1 p.m, my missus won't be happy, but if I'm not under 18 stone, she'll be more happy than me. So yeah, I said I'd be under 18 stone. I was 17-12 this morning. I'm in the best shape of my career. Whether I'm good enough or not is a different question, but that can only be answered Saturday. But I've done everything that I need to do, and I'm actually looking forward to it for the first time. When I watched Matt Madov, I was a bit unsure, but I'm more confident than ever. Probably the biggest job I've had on in my career so far, but probably the most confident I've been, because I'm going to box well. I'm going to box really well, and the rest is out of my hands, really.
53 minutes to go then. So, Jamie, is he in the sauna, sweating it out, desperately trying to get in under the weight, or where is he?
Well, he sent me a picture of his socks on the scales this morning. He'd had his breakfast, he'd had a cup of tea, and he was 17-12. So, for all intents and purposes, he's done exactly what he wanted. He saved himself 50 grand, so congratulations to the boy. He's done well.
Brilliant. OK, so what about the fight itself? What chance does he have against Filip Hrgović?
Listen, we all know it's a big ask. Hrgović is one of the best heavyweights in the world. But this is one everyone's bought into it for the simple fact Dave's such a lovable character. He can really fight. Everyone in the game knows he can really fight. He's just never been committed enough to put himself in a position where people can see how good he is. And like he said in that video there, 8 weeks ago, he promised me that he was going to put the work in and get to the point where he needed to be to go in there. Just that one time in his career where he goes in there and does everything what everyone knows he can actually do. And whether that will be enough to beat Hrgović, we don't know. But one thing is for certain, he's going to go in there Saturday, he's going to give it 100%, and win, lose or draw, for the rest of his life he can sleep sound at night knowing that he give it 100%.
How important is it, on the back of what happened last week with Wardley and Dubois, where everyone was absolutely transfixed by what was happening, it became part of the national conversation, this fight, this bout that happens on Saturday night lives up to the billing?
I just think it's really important from Dave's point of view that he does himself justice. You know, for all intents and purposes, for me, I love Dave as a man. You know, forget him as a boxer, I love him as a man. And for me, it's more important for him to know that he did his absolute best, and he can be content with that for the rest of his life. You know, we all want to see great fights. That fight last week was absolutely unbelievable, and we hope the same happens again tomorrow night. But all I want personally for Dave is to do himself justice.
OK, you're talking there as sort of like maybe might be the end of an era. Is it a final hurrah, or is it the start of something for the White Rhino?
It should be and could be the start of something huge for Dave. You know, and when I mention a Rocky type story, I don't say that lightly. I mean, like, literally, it could be cinema, you know, imitating real life. If Dave goes in there and beats someone like Hrgović, the door opens then potentially to someone like a Tyson Fury. And who'd have thought that? You know, rewind 4 or 5 years ago when we was in with Fraser Clark and I pulled him out in that fight because he wasn't fit and he wasn't in a position where he was going to be able to win the fight. You know, we thought he was going to walk away from the sport back then. Yet he's knuckled down, he's dedicated himself. Slowly but surely, I've gained his trust, and he realises I'm not out to try and sort of punish him. I'm trying to get the best out of him and let him fulfil his potential, what people have been talking about for years. And we've got to the stage, last year against Matmadov might be a little bit too early, but he was probably 70%, 60-70% of what he will be tomorrow night. And will that be enough to beat Hrgovic? I don't know, but I tell you what, he's going to go in there and he's going to give his absolute 100% all.
Jamie, Dave he's very likeable, he's very popular, he's very honest. I found it interesting him saying there, I'm actually, now looking forward to it. The mental side, if you get that right, clearly, as you can say, all he can do is the best of his potential. How much have you worked on the mental side? Because obviously, any elite sport, but even more in boxing, is not just the technical and practicing and the sparring, but actually it's the mental side as well.
Of course. I think that's more important at this level, at this stage. Someone like Dave, who maybe hasn't had the confidence in himself as he should, because when you apply yourself 100% properly, you get confident in yourself. And because he's never done that really, and it's been a sort of a work in progress, he's only just getting to that stage where he's getting confidence in himself. He watched the Matmadov fight back, and now he's kicking himself going, I know I could have done better than that. So he promised himself if he ever got a big fight, he would make sure that there was no regrets, no excuses. And here we are today.
I've seen that Hrgovic is already looking beyond this fight and talking about a possible match-up with Itoma. Is that a little bit disrespectful as far as you're concerned? Does that annoy you in any way?
Good. Good, I'm glad. I love that because, well, one side of it is rightly so. Hrgovic, is quite within his right to look past Dave and go, I should be in big fights. I've got a feeling that could be part of his downfall tomorrow. If he's slightly overlooked Dave, he doesn't expect it to be a tough fight. If and when Dave gets him into that type of fight where he starts second-guessing himself and feeling sorry for himself, going, I shouldn't really be in this situation, then that all plays into our hands. Sometimes you just have to be in the right place at the right time, the right moment. He's put himself physically in a position. Mentally, these last day or two have been really important, where he's nice and cool, calm, collected, he's focused. But the mistakes he made against Matmadov, where he maybe let the occasion get to him a little bit beforehand, I'm glad the fight's so close to that, because it's fresh in his mind and he knows he can't make those same mistakes again. When he gets in there, he gets into his flow, gets through those first round or two. Hrgovic starts really quick because he was a very good amateur and he's still got that amateur type tempo. We get through those first two or three, we're well in the fight.
Just before we let you go, I think also Dave has been talking a little bit about what could come next. He's sort of put his hand up as a possible warm-up fight or a tune-up fight for Tyson Fury. Is that a good idea?
I think he beats Filip Hrgovic, the world's his oyster. Like, literally. Where do you go after that? You're talking about the top 4 or 5 in the heavyweight division. The ones above that, the world's his oyster. And can you imagine Dave Allen versus Tyson Fury?
It would be
the build-up would be better than the fight. It'd be unbelievable.
Well, they're both quite cult figures, aren't they? And it would be like, they're great personalities, which is great. Another one of your fights is Pat Brown. What's next for them?
It's looking like Pat's hand's going to be okay. He was sort of touch and go whether he might need surgery on an injury on his hand. It looks like it's going to be okay. So he got announced yesterday that the board have put him and John Edges forward for the vacant British title. So that'll be next for him. We're hoping it could be like the end of August, early September, depending on his hand. But fingers crossed. It's a great fight, and it's a nice little step up for Pat.
Jamie, thank you very much. Good luck to Dave. Are you going to go for a little run around the track now?
No, we're going to get him on the scales and confirm that he doesn't owe me 50 grand for charity.
Brilliant stuff. Have a good night. Enjoy it tomorrow. It's live on TalkSport and also live on DAZN, where you can watch the fight in all its glory. Absolutely superb event last Saturday. Let's hope there's more of the same tomorrow. You're listening to Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto. We're live on TalkSport with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. And Michael Carrick on the verge of becoming the permanent manager at Manchester United. We'll discuss it next with a double winner.
As we alluded to yesterday, Southampton are likely to face a sporting sanction if they're found guilty of spying charges. As a result, they could end up being thrown out of the playoff final to be replaced in that final by Middlesbrough instead, the team that they put out last night at the semi-final second leg stage. We said we'd look into this more thoroughly from a financial, legal expert point of view, and the very man who fits that bill is sitting to my right. Stefan Borsten joins us live in studio. And Stefan, good morning to you.
Hi.
We'll get into how this may or may not play out in the courts. Is there a precedent, Stefan, for chucking a team out of the playoffs?
Well, it happened to Swindon, but it was different. Well, not in terms of the playoffs, but in terms of sort of annulling the promotion. But it was a different situation. I mean, there's no situation where you've had it all come to a head within this small window around the playoffs. In terms of spying / espionage, there's really very few cases anywhere in football in respect of this. So you've got the Leeds situation that we know about, where it was systematic. They ended up with a £200,000 fine. And effectively, the other part of the sanction was to vote in favour of the rule that then came in. This rule that we're now talking about in terms of the 72-hour rule. That was part of the agreement on that. So that brought the rule in. The only other case is actually from the from the Olympics with Canada's women's team. And FIFA in 2024 docked them 6 points.
It's TalkSport. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, and FA Cup winner 1997, and also a pin-up boy for Charlton in the early 90s as well. Were you Rotherham's Player of the Year?
No, I was not Rotherham's Player of the Year. But it's a great time at Rotherham's.
Had a great time.
Great time. Loved it.
Loved a bit of Millmore. And Champions League record holder. If you have Googled that, then please feel free to let us know. 03717 2233. Do you want to tell people who haven't got Google what it was that you worked?
Yes.
Who doesn't have Google? Yeah, but the people might be driving.
Yeah, I scored the quickest own goal in Champions League history.
You did?
I did.
That is a record. You've got to play in the Champions League to get that record.
It's been beaten. It's been beaten. But as I say,
and you were also part of the West Ham team that went down with a record points tally.
I was part of the West Ham squad that went down with 42 points. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on quickly.
Love working with you two.
We mentioned Manchester United against Nottingham Forest is live on TalkSport 12:30 on Sunday. Steve Bruce is going to be alongside me for that one. Paul Parker won the double alongside Steve Bruce, and he joins us now. Hi, Paul.
He also won the FA Cup, Parks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Hi there, gentlemen.
With Chelsea.
Fleeting moment in my life.
Talk to me about Michael Carrick. It looks like he's secured the support of the football hierarchy at Old Trafford. They've recommended that he be given a contract. We understand that that's going to be a 2+1 and be crowned as the next permanent manager in the not too distant future. What do you make of it?
I think it's the right decision, to be honest, really, at this moment. It is, by the way, he's galvanised. He's got players playing who have played better over a duration of time than what they've done for previous managers. He got a bit of unity. He got continuity on the pitch as well, and that's what's got him into the Champions League spot. I expected United to get into Europe. I never even thought about the Champions League, to be perfectly honest. But he's gone, and I think he's given the owners something they weren't expecting, and I just think he deserves that opportunity. And I just hope now they make a conscious decision to make sure they get him what he needs for Manchester United to at least challenge to win the league.
That was going to be my next question, because having offered him this contract, 2 years initially and then a year's option on the end, as we understand it, they need to back him, don't they, in the transfer market? How many players, realistically, do you think they need to bring in? Because I think we saw against Sunderland last week, when you put fringe players in the team, likes of Joshua Zirkzee and Ugarte, it doesn't half weaken it, doesn't it?
It does weaken it, and initially, when he started, when he first came in his first game, and after that first game, I turned around and said, I hope that he doesn't really change the team much, as best as possible, injuries and suspensions, which you can't control. And he didn't really, stuck with them, and they kind of stuck with him away, even though they didn't have many good performances, not that many good performances against Arsenal and City, but not so good against other teams, even though they were getting results. So I think the continuity got them through that by knowing what each other's doing, keeping as best he can, a back four that was all together. The goalkeeping situation made a massive difference. That was the big turnaround, the goalkeeping situation, the belief that goes through everyone's head when you've got something that you can believe in behind you makes such a difference. But to the initial question, he needs at least 4 players. 4 players who can come straight into the first team, not 4 players who can just back up maybe. No, 4 players who can go out there and will make a difference over a long period of time. That's what he needs, and then that's called competition.
Parks, I want to sort of go back to the job that he's done, Mickey, because I don't think anyone really thought that Manchester United, in the first couple of months of the season under Ruben Emery would be where they are. You've obviously, won major trophies with United as well. You were very lucky in that 94 quarter-final against Charlton, but you somehow got through it and went on to win the double.
Very lucky in the final, if I remember rightly, as well.
But you've been there, you've seen it, you've done it. You've played for England, you've played in the World Cup semi-final as well. So maybe mentally it came naturally to you. But how much in the last almost decade has it been difficult? How heavy is that shirt weighed? And therefore, when you, one, the job that he's done to make it light as a feather again now, but also 2, the mentality of the players coming in, because it's not just about technical ability, is it?
No. I mean, it's a difficult thing when I chat to people. I think people just think I'm making it up just because of the fact I was fortunate enough to play for the club. But there's a big difference of when you go there. And myself, I went there from Queen's Park Rangers, where I played with some incredible players. I played with their big players who had played for England, Peter Rees, the Ray Wilkins, the Trevor Francis, and then I could name Ozzy Ardiles, Kenny Sanson as well comes into it. And I was captain with all those players. And then I go to Manchester United, and it was a different feel, a different environment. It was expectations were different. Everything was different. It was football. While you play for a team in London, football doesn't really grab you that much because you can step away from it, but not when you're living in a football city like Manchester. And then I saw players come in, and you could see players coming in who were good players, but when it come to match days and the expectancy, not always from the manager, but you felt it from the terraces, it was big and it weighed heavily on players, and some players couldn't get themselves going. They found it very, very difficult. It was never mentioned, but in that way, in the sense of coming out and talking to them. But you could just see players could not handle playing for that club in what was expected, what you had to deliver week in, week out. And there's been so many over this last, decade of players who have come into it, bought for good money, but they just haven't delivered. They just can't do it on a consistent basis. And when you're going to be a club like Manchester United or Liverpool, even an Arsenal now, and to the point of a top, you're seen as a top 6 club to cut it short. You have to deliver week in, week out, because you're expected to always be competing for everything. And that's what football's become even more so now. But the quality of the players now are not the same as what they were a few years back. And that is the problem that I think everyone is starting to see now.
14 goals so far this season for Barcelona. Would you bring Marcus Rashford back?
I'm going to say no. No. I'm going to say that you got what you got because of you didn't do your job properly. You had plenty of opportunities to deliver. You didn't really push yourself hard enough to go and deliver. You thought it was just going to happen. You thought you had the excuse because you was deemed a local boy and the fans would back you. But after a while, the majority of them didn't want to back him, because when you back someone, you expect them to back you when you go out there and when you're doing what they love you doing for them. And he wasn't doing that. He just thought he could get away with it. And I'm saying, great that you've gone and done. You've gone and proven yourself in a very, very difficult place at Barcelona, a massive football club. If you're enjoying it, carry on there where now he's light there. Go and make yourself into some kind of, club god, club legend, whatever you want to say, and go and do your work there. But I think for Michael to go back and bring him back in again and hope that he can turn him round, I don't think he needs to go and do that. Maybe you could talk about it last season when he might have, or this season, sorry, when he needed something, could maybe have talked about it. When he looks at what he's delivered already, does he need to go backwards to go forwards? And I'm saying, no, he doesn't need. He needs to look forward now and get players in who want to play for Manchester United first and foremost. And then they go out there and make sure they don't let themselves down.
And Paul, we can look forward to seeing you in the Empire Club in Lancing in Sussex tonight to promote the fact you've just re-released your autobiography.
Yeah, I'm down there in your neck of the woods, Alex. I'm going to give it a try and see if I like it, to find out reasons or find people who know you can talk to me about your social life. I'm quite looking forward to that.
There's quite a few people who have volunteered to talk about that.
You were there a few nights, mate.
Mine's a Guinness.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I know that's always going to be the issue. And to be honest, I'll quite happily buy you the one, but I know how many you can do, and it's only going to be the one, Alex.
I look forward to it.
Parks, thank you very much for coming
mate.
on. Appreciate it. Lovely to see you, mate. And we'll see you soon. Thank you very much. That's Paul Parker, double winner with Manchester United, talking about Michael Carrick and what they should do next, and talking about Marcus Rashford and suggesting that Manchester United should move on from him. Up next, Scotland's title race goes down to the wire. Hearts on the brink of history. Bill Leckie joins us next. Stay tuned.
You've got Madonna, Shakira and BTS are going to headline the halftime show at this summer's World Cup final on July the 19th. The halftime show during last summer's Club World Cup in the United States between Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain lasted more than 24 minutes. This is going to be the first time that there has been a halftime show at a World Cup final. I've got a terrible feeling that you're going to tell me you have no problem with this.
No, I haven't got an issue with it.
Oh, God.
But then I'm used to... Listen, I love American sports. People know that. I love American sports. I love the Super Bowl halftime show. Of course, it's not going to be for everyone, and I get that. I've got no issue with that at all. But what they're going to have to do is make sure that they've got plenty of bikes in the dressing rooms, the warm-up areas to keep the legs moving, because I've been there half-time, 24 minutes. That is long, especially when the intensity of the game. Then you go in and you cool down a little bit, and then you talk about 25 minutes before you get yourself back out there. They have to keep warming.
Aaron, you know when you say that you love American sports and you therefore don't mind the intrusion of a halftime show, I kind of get it. I went to a Super Bowl. Snoop Dogg was there.
That was unbelievable. That one.
Yeah, and that was great because it was a Super Bowl. But I wouldn't necessarily want that at an FA Cup final. I think when you buy into the American experience, you get the American experience. Why are we getting the American experience in a game that doesn't necessarily need one?
Probably because it's in America. I think if it was elsewhere, it probably wouldn't be. That wouldn't be the case because it's in America.
Although we started to get it in Champions League finals, haven't we? We've had Dua Lipa at a Champions League final.
Yeah, you know, I get it. It's not for everyone, and I've got no argument. If people come on here and say, "Nah, it's rubbish. I hate it." Then listen. You're going to get no argument from me. I just quite like it. But then also as well, it depends on the act. Like, listen, Shakira. I know a couple of her songs. Madonna. I'm not a fan of Madonna. I know she's a legend, but that's not my cup of tea.
It's our understanding Manchester United have offered Michael Carrick a 2-year contract with an optional extra. The club wants the deal done by this weekend. Carrick has taken Man United to third in the Premier League, winning 10 out of his 15 games in charge. Next, we're told Middlesbrough have been refused access to Southampton's Spygate hearing today. Only Saints and the independent panel will be there. We could get a ruling on Southampton's alleged spying today. Here's our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook.
If it is systematic, it doesn't just affect Middlesbrough, does it? Take Wrexham, for example, who missed out on a playoff place on the last day of the season. They got hammered by Southampton towards the end of the campaign. Had that result have gone differently, they would have been in the top 6. Yeah. Do they have a claim as well?
The EFL have warned the playoff final with Hull City could still be postponed. Here's Scott Minto saying the rules have been poorly drafted.
You have to blame the EFL for this as well, though. The law's in place, but not the penalty. How can you have a law in place and then say, look, right, you do this, you get that? And that's not the case.
The EFL have confirmed the case cannot go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and any appeal would be heard here by another independent panel. And Seamus Coleman's thanked Everton fans for helping him in more ways than they could imagine. He's leaving Everton after 17 years and is still deciding whether he'll stay on as a coach or play elsewhere.
Get that winning feeling, courtesy of TalkSport Win.
Well, do you fancy £25,000 in your hand? Completely tax-free. Of course you do. And at TalkSport, our competition's just got a whole lot bigger, with even more prizes up for grabs to give you that winning feeling. To celebrate, we're giving you the chance to win big £25,000. But hurry, because entries do close on Monday at 4 p.m. Here's what you need to do. For your chance to win, head to TalkSportWin.com or text WIN to 83338. Text and online entries cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or you can give us a call on 0343 418 7260. Entries must be in by 4 p.m. on Monday, and that's when you will need to answer your phone if it rings. It's 18 plus and UK residents only. It's a network promotion. Full T's and C's are available at TalkSportWin.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now.
Let's speak to Bill Leckie, Scottish football journalist who joins us ahead of the culmination of the season. 3 games this season already. Hearts have won 2 and drawn 1 against Celtic tomorrow at Parkhead. The 4th meeting decides the lot. Bill, there seems to be quite a lot of drama in Scottish football over the last 7 days. The big VAR call on Wednesday night, which Scott and I have been arguing about all day. I think actually, you know, the one on Saturday night when Hearts were denied a penalty is much, much more controversial. But I think, you know, maybe all of that has fed into this narrative going into the weekend where Hearts, some of the supporters, the shareholders have made it pretty clear. They're openly calling on the referee, Don Robertson, ahead of this game against Celtic to make sure that the stars of the show are the footballers.
Well, that's exactly how it should be, Sam. This league title race has been phenomenal. It's been one in a lifetime, really, for Scottish football, and it really should be decided. If you look at the piece of skill Daiza Maeda produced in the Old Firm game last week, that overhead kick, if Hearts lost the league to that, they'd put their hands up and say, wow. But the decision, you're right, last Saturday night's decision by Stephen McLean, even when he looked at VAR not to give Hearts what was an absolute stonewall penalty for Kizaridis having his foot stamped on at a corner kick. He goes for the short corner, he gets his foot stamped on, he falls over. It's a penalty, they don't get it. To then compound that with what happened in the 90 millionth minute of the game, well, 5 minutes added on, it was something like 97, 98, whatever it is. Hearts will tell you it was 300 minutes added on. I still haven't seen something that tells me absolutely conclusively that it's a penalty. I think he heads the ball. I don't argue that it doesn't touch his hand, but I don't know either way. I don't think there's enough there to say absolutely that is a clear and obvious error by John Beaton, the referee. You cannot get the ball to go that far with your hand. It's a header. If it touches his hand on the way past after his header, it doesn't affect the flight of the ball. It doesn't stop the Celtic player getting to the ball. It doesn't do anything. And I think it's incredible. And by the way, let's not forget how harsh this was on Motherwell, because if they had got the 2-2 draw, they're virtually in Europe. They would have to lose to Hibs tomorrow. Now the whole thing changes. So I feel sick for everybody involved that it's been hijacked by refereeing decisions.
Well, do you know what I'm really looking forward to? And I don't think I've ever said this before. I'm really looking forward to the Scottish Premier League's version of Mic'd Up with Willie Collum later this week.
He's no longer FA, Sam. He's now Scottish FA, Sam.
Hearts
haven't won the league since 1960.
No.
66 years. I mean, it's longer ago than England's only World Cup. But they are one...
You don't like to mention that, to be fair.
They are just such a tantalising way, 1 point from rewriting Scottish football. Do you think they can do it? Do you think they'll be fueled up by everything that's gone on this week? Or do you think that actually it might have killed a little bit of the momentum?
No, I've backed them all the way, you know that. And I don't see why not. I mean, I wrote the other morning that, you know, to say they only need 1 point is like saying you only need to be an astronaut to go to the moon. You know, that is an enormous point for them to win. It's at Celtic. There's 59,500 Celtic fans. There's 700 Hearts fans. The momentum has switched towards Celtic. Celtic now expect to win it. But, you know, Hearts have been magnificent this season. They've lost. It's ironic that the games that they might look back and say they lost them are against the bottom three. In a little spell of a matter of weeks, they lost to St Mirren, they lost to Kilmarnock, they drew with Livingston. So those are maybe the games they'll look back and say, well, if we'd even won one of them, it would be done by now. But I don't, you know, you could turn up at Parkhead tomorrow and Celtic could come out like an absolute train and be 3-0 up in 25 minutes and it's all over. But I think if Hearts are in it with 25 minutes to go, I would really fancy them. This is not a good Celtic team. And Celtic fans will agree with this. This Celtic team that are very vulnerable. Motherwell played them off the park the other night. They have won so many games this season despite themselves. The Martin O'Neill has been fantastic. No other manager could have done what Martin O'Neill has done. And he's brought them to the brink. And he's now favourite to take them over the line. which for him at 74 years old would just be the most incredible end to a career. I'm presuming it's the end of his managerial career. But I am not writing Hearts off by any means. I can't wait for the game. And I think it would be amazing for Scottish football if Hearts could get over the line.
You mentioned not a great Celtic team, obviously not a great Rangers team either, and more pressure on Danny Rowell after midweek and maybe his handling of the James Tavernier situation. What do the two clubs do in the summer? I mean, who is going to be Celtic's next manager? And do you expect Danny Rowell to start the season at Ibrox?
Danny Rowell seems to expect it. He said that this week he's had constructive talks and he fully expects to be there. I'm not sure that 4 defeats in a row after the split is good on your CV. The last game was at Falkirk on Saturday. It becomes, a few weeks ago they were looking at it as a chance to win the title. There was thousands of Rangers fans trying to buy tickets up. Now it's a dead rubber. Celtic, if I was a Celtic fan, I'd like to have seen them gone for Jens Bertalascu, the Motherwell manager, who I think has been a revelation this season. He's now being linked with Toulouse in France. I think he is tremendous. I think he's got everything Celtic would look for. It doesn't look as if they're going for him. Rangers, as I say, Roll seems to think that he's in, but both teams need a root and branch dressing room upheaval. Rangers especially have carried so many passengers this season.
One man who won't be the new manager of Celtic is Wilfried Nancy. And for the first time, he's actually opened up on his time at Celtic after leaving. He said it was a no-brainer to say that he didn't get long enough to impose his way of doing things at the club. Here he is.
Obviously, I didn't have enough time to put, especially the way I coach, the way I do things. But yeah, this is the way it is. But again, I have no bad words regarding what happened over there. This is about it's part of my journey, I would say. Oh, honestly, it was a beautiful experience, and obviously things could have been better. But again, I think that life is about moment. That's why I went there, because again, I'm not a conservative coach, and we had a plan. And everything was clear. And because I did also my due diligence. The idea was to, step by step, bring something new. Again, the support that I had with the chairman and everything, everybody over there was huge. No problem with that. We were on the same page, but after that, the result and so on, and the pressure and the perspective change. But again, I have no problem with that. This is football sometimes is irrational, I would say. So obviously it's a no-brainer that I didn't have enough time.
That was Wilfried Nancy on the Training Ground Guru podcast. Yeah. And Bill, listening to him speak there, he almost feels he was a victim of circumstance. If they hadn't have brought him in and just allowed Martin O'Neill to continue till the end of the season, right from the very off, would Celtic already be champions?
Possibly. That week, the first week Wilfried Nancy was there, was catastrophic for Celtic. His first game, they lost at home to Hearts, which was massive. His second game, they were battered by Roma in Europa League at home. His third game, he lost to my team, to St Mirren, in the League Cup final, which was a massive shock. He then went to Tannadice to Dundee United in the midweek and lost again. And he was gone by then. I mean, they might as well have got rid of him then. He did this. He had the same idea as Russell Martin had at Rangers. I have a project. Let me do this step by step. I know how to make. There is no step by step, unfortunately, in that world, in the old firm world. It's rollerball. It's kill or be killed. And like it or lump, and I don't think it's a great way to be. They should give people more time, but there is no time. And unfortunately, coming in the middle of the season in December was horrendous for him.
And he won the double, wouldn't they? Because he lost the cup final as well. Yeah.
Well, they could possibly have the treble because they've got the Scottish Cup final next week against Dunfermline. So they lost to us in the League Cup final, for which I am eternally happy. But he just didn't get it. He tried to reinvent football overnight. He changed the entire system of Celtic. He had players playing out of position. I remember in the cup final, he had Liam Scales, who is a solid journeyman left centre back, and he had him basically playing as a left winger, and the poor guy was just hung out to dry. And the thing was a mess. The thing was a mess, and it is. And the fact that Martin O'Neill's brought them back to be this close. If you had said in the second week of December, we will give you the last day against Hearts, win the game, you win the league, they would have bitten both your hands and both your legs off.
Yeah, they would. Thank you very much, Bill. Appreciate you coming on. As always, the brilliant Bill Leckie, who will be closely following tomorrow's conclusion of the Scottish title race. We'll keep you updated here on TalkSport as well. Hearts against Celtic kicks off at 12:30 tomorrow. Just a quick prediction. Scott Minto, who wins the title, Hearts or Celtic? One word.
No, I'm going for Hearts.
Crookie?
I thought Celtic when we came into the studio, but you know what? I'm going to say Hearts as well.
Yeah, go on the Jambos. I went up to Hearts versus Celtic a couple of years ago. They treated me royally. They were wonderful people up at Tynecastle, so I hope they do it. It's also great for Scottish football as well, by the way. And I hope that I hope that they capitalise on the intrigue and the interest of what's happened this year to push it forward again. This is
good as gone for the last day, isn't it?
Absolute. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Hearts necessarily will agree with you. But yes. Okay, this is TalkSport. Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto. We're here through till 1 o'clock, so just a few minutes to tidy up some other big issues burning ahead of the weekend.
Another developing story this morning coming out of Manchester United. Manchester United have reportedly reached out to other potential candidates, but wish to speak to Michael Carrick first. What do you read into that? Is the significant fact of that Carrick gets first dibs in speaking to those who will make the ultimate decision?
Well,
in other words, he's leading the way.
I find it strange how these things come out. Like, who is it leaking the fact that United have spoken or speaking to other candidates before they speak to Michael? I mean, it's bizarre, especially when you're talking about one of the biggest clubs in the world. Can they not do business? Can they not keep their own counsel? I find that a bit bizarre, but he's done really well. And, with the position they were in to where he's got them, you could argue he deserves another go at it and bring some players in the summer. And I wouldn't say that's a huge risk. The progression they've made under him, I'd give him another go. Yeah.
Yeah. Significant, Simon, that they want to speak to Carrick first.
Yeah, again, I don't know who's briefing in and whether it's coming from Carrick's side or whether it's coming from Man United's side as to the briefing in as to why Man United need. You can employ an England manager without anyone knowing about it, but they can't seemingly have a conversation amongst themselves without broadcasting it to the media. I don't understand why that is the case. I still think it's fraught with lots of questions that need to be asked and answered about the position of someone that becomes in moments of adversity. We've seen no moments of adversity for Carrick, really. He's done the job, so it makes it a conundrum.
Inside Series on TalkSport with BetMGM. Watch the latest Inside Series episode live on TalkSport's YouTube channel now. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Okay. We'll come back to that in just a second, if that's all right, Alex Crook. Instead, before we get to what might be a little bit of breaking news, this week Jermaine Pennant and his friends discussed how FSG need to take a look at themselves because Liverpool's style of football isn't meeting fans' expectations on the latest episode of Inside Liverpool.
They've watched this team grow, evolve, win trophies and play attractive football, be dominant, be aggressive, a certain style of football. They've seen this with their eyes when they're sitting in their seats at Anfield. Now they're seeing this. They have to have a hard look at themselves and go, this is not good, guys. They've got to think that what can we go into next season with this, with our fans turning? Is it going to help the club as a whole? They've got to have a big, massive talk amongst themselves. You can't take this season and think, blame excuses, go, oh, we had injuries, we've had this and that. That's still not good enough because, like I said, it's just the basics that we're not even doing. Yeah.
And don't forget that you can watch all the latest Inside Series episodes on TalkSport's YouTube channel now. That's thanks to BetMGM 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Inside Series on TalkSport with BetMGM. Watch the latest Inside Series episode live on TalkSport's YouTube channel now. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Okay, we started the show talking about Spygate 2.0. Southampton have been accused of cheating going into the playoff semi-final against Middlesbrough. We know that they have been charged by the EFL. We know that there's going to be an independent disciplinary committee which will sit today, we think, and is going to make a judgment. So what are the possible outcomes? We've got a little bit more information on that in the last few minutes.
Yeah, I've just been sent a message suggesting that two of the options on the table, if Southampton are found guilty of these charges, is the 3-0 walkover for Middlesbrough in the first leg of the semi-final that we've suggested, or potentially they just go straight through to the final. So if it is a sporting sanction, I would suggest that Southampton's place in the playoff final is in jeopardy, which is probably not the news that their supporters were hoping for. I think a lot will depend on whether the independent commission believe that if Southampton did spy on Middlesbrough, and the evidence suggests they probably did, was it a one-off ahead of a big game at the end of the season, or was it something they've done regularly over the course of the campaign?
And the reason we think that these are, I mean, they sound pretty similar, those two punishments.
The same thing,
They're basically the same thing, aren't they? Which is basically either that they've just forfeit the whole thing and Middlesbrough go straight through to the final, or Middlesbrough get the walkover in the first leg, which means that they would win on aggregate anyway. But ultimately, what we're talking about is taking Southampton out of the playoff final.
Yeah, I don't like the 3-0. I mean, that's just almost kind of like, well, we'll do 3-0. Oh, does that mean that Southampton don't go through?
But that is that's the punishment, the standard punishment for a team that don't turn up for a game.
Look, they can do what they want. The law's there. The punishment isn't. If you're going to get rid of them, just get rid of them. Don't hide behind a 3-0.
It's going to be a massive story, though, isn't it?
One way or another.
I'll go back to the fact found guilty. If they are found guilty, and I know we all expect them to be, but it might not happen. They might not be found guilty because it might depend on the multiple breaches and whether or not there's evidence of it. But if they are, and they are removed from the final, that isn't going to happen today, because they will appeal it. So by the time we find out that who is definitely going to be in the playoff final, it's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday. So what does that mean?
Well, I think the EFL need to get this game played by the end of May for some of the reasons we talked about, particularly with the World Cup on the horizon and players needing to get a bit of recharge at the end of the season before potentially linking up with their countries. Tuesday, May the 26th is a date that's been touted by some journalists up in the northeast.
Okay, the night before the Conference League final. Listen, Scott Minto, lovely to see you. See you tomorrow at the FA Cup final live on TalkSport. Crookie, see you there as well. H&J coming up next. Remember, we've got live football tonight. Tomorrow, the FA Cup final. Sunday, Manchester United against Nottingham Forest. And then Monday Night Football is Arsenal against Burnley. We'll see you for all of that.
James Corden is with us in the studio.
Good morning.
Good morning, mate.
Good morning, James.
So happy to be here.
It's our pleasure. How are you?
I'm really well. Yeah, I'm very good.
Thank you for coming in.
It's a pleasure.
It's lovely. We've got so much to talk to you about.
For sure.
Before we talk about football, right?
Yes.
I was just going over old stuff that you've done, right?
Mm.
And I was watching